system of American series in the Rebirth of America. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101, Flirting Long Hair. McLaren Bar. I'm sorry, Irving, it's all my fault. After Irving's well-reasoned and well-organized questioning, he made Matthew, a 193 centimeters tall man, cry with shame. That's right, this big man from Minnesota, the future Supreme Court Justice of New York, hugged Irving and cried like a child. Punish me, Irving, as long as you can forgive me. Please punish me as you like. Okay. Listening to Matthew's ambiguous words and looking at the meaningful smiles of passers-by, Irving couldn't bear it anymore and quickly pushed Matthew away. I forgive you. Don't be so excited. If you keep this expression, others will think I did something to you. I'm sorry. Matthew smiled embarrassedly. Irving, you know, I have such rich emotions. Sometimes I really can't control myself. Although Irving understood what Matthew meant, he still rolled his eyes speechlessly. Okay, can we go in? Of course. Matthew wiped his tears and nodded. Seeing Owen walking away, he reached out and held Owen again. What's wrong? That, Matthew said embarrassedly. Please be gentle later. Even if you and Robin fall in love at first sight, please try not to show it too obviously in front of Ted. Ted is my best friend. I don't want to see him. Okay. Owen's eyes condensed, interrupted Matthew's words, and said seriously, I will try my best. Matthew, being friends with you is really Ted's greatest achievement in his life. Don't say that. Matthew said this, but he couldn't stop smiling on his face. Hi, everyone. Owen is here. As soon as he entered the bar, Matthew greeted them warmly. Hi, Lily, Ted, long time no see. Owen greeted Lily and Ted with a smile, then set his sights on the radiant Robin and stretched out his hand and said, Hi, I'm Owen Lee. You must be Robin, right? Nice to meet you. Robin Spassky. Everyone sat down again, and while Owen and Robin were chatting, Matthew and others started eye contact again. Matthew, what happened? Why are you so intimate with Owen? Lily, it was my fault before. Owen is such a good friend and I shouldn't be hostile to him. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you think so. Sorry, Ted. It doesn't matter. You are right. Everyone has the freedom to choose. Besides, they were just chatting, and the atmosphere of the chat was no match for the first time between Robin and me. There is no chance for them. Oh, Ted, what's wrong? Lily, was I wrong? Although I really don't want to say it, but in order to let you be mentally prepared in advance, I still have to say it. Owen and Robin chatted very well, and they were very attracted to each other. At least from my female perspective, Robin must have fallen in love with Owen. What? How did you know? Ted looked carefully at Robin's actions. With Lily's reminder, Ted discovered details that he had never noticed before, and then with a click, his heart broke in half. Owen, you are so funny. Very, very funny. Robin laughed exaggeratedly and kept using her hands to stroke her long hair and pull it back. The seductive smell of perfume wafted over, and she leaned forward more and more with her laughter. Oh my god. No matter how stupid Ted was at this time, he understood what this action meant, not to mention that he was also a top predator. Fortunately, Owen had Matthew's reminder and did not cover up in front of Ted. While hugging Robin, he exaggeratedly said, We are innocent, brother, we are innocent. According to Barner's words, Owen's night was definitely a legendary night. Robin was not an ordinary girl. She was raised as a son by her father since she was a child. She was good at riding horses and shooting guns. Her personality was more masculine. She did not have the affectation of many beautiful girls. If she was replaced by other girls who were not good looking enough, she would be a real tomboy. But the amazing thing is that Robin is so pretty that she can't be called a tomboy at all. Instead, it has become her unique temperament, which really makes Owen enjoy it and open his eyes. Is this true? After several soul-deep exchanges, Robin, who was exhausted but didn't want to fall asleep, leaned over Owen's suit and took out the scientific experiment report that Owen always carried with him. While flipping through it, he asked with interest, Yeah. Owen responded with a very wise voice. He. Robin looked at it and laughed continuously. She patted Owen and laughed boldly. Your routine is really amazing and interesting. It's really good news for girls. Hello, I'm good. Everyone is good. Everyone is good is really good. Owen also smiled complacently. I heard from Lily that you are a playboy like Barney? Robin asked. I'm different from Barney. Owen said sincerely. He's a liar, and I'm a loyal man. I only have mathematics science as my only girlfriend. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Others, including you, are my inspirations. Robin couldn't help but pat Owen. You're such an honest bastard. But I quite admire your attitude. Owen joked. Do you really admire my attitude? The weekend passed quickly. Monday night. McLaren Bar. Is Owen back? Ted smiled. Yeah. Robin smiled. Yes. Ted secretly made a victory gesture and thought to himself, distance is the biggest enemy between men and women. Unfortunately, in the next 2 months, Ted painfully realized that this truth was less and less applicable in the global village. Every weekend, either Owen flew over or Robin flew 8,000 miles to California to date Owen. What made him even more painful was that Owen and Robin made it clear that they were not in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. 1 week before Halloween. McLaren Bar. So, everyone, what are your plans for Halloween? Lily asked. You know me. Ted said excitedly. Still waiting for your slut pumpkin girl? Matthew winked. Yes. Ted nodded affirmatively. Robin, how about you? How are you and Owen recently? Do you have any plans for Halloween? Come to think of it. Robin's mouth curled up. Owen said he had a good idea and invited me to California to celebrate Halloween with his group of scientist friends. He even prepared the uniforms for Halloween for me in advance. Wow. Lily exclaimed. Her devilish eyes began to float again, biting her lip and muttering, that must be a very very good idea. P.S. Thanks to Washangagu and Bad Dog 2012 for the reward. This book is still in the state of seeking recommendations, so the word count must be controlled. It can only be released after it is put on the shelves. Please forgive me. Otherwise, if there are not enough recommendations, the performance after it is put on the shelves will be very poor. At that time, the author will not be in the mood to release more. So I beg everyone to continue to vote for recommendations. If you have a book list, please add a book list. Thank you. In addition, if you have a favorite American TV series or European and American movies, you can leave a message, and the author will selectively incorporate them. Chapter 102, Explosive Avengers. Pasadena. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Bang, bang, bang. Come in. Hey, guys, what are you doing? Penny, wearing thermal pants, pushed open the door of room 4A and saw Leonard and Sheldon sitting in front of the sewing machine, working hard. She couldn't help but ask with a smile, Halloween is coming soon. Sheldon raised his head and answered with a cute smile on his face. So, Penny dragged her voice. In fact, she had roughly guessed it when she heard this, but she was annoyed that Sheldon always answered the wrong question, or when a simple yes or no could solve the problem, he had to talk for a long time, and when she was confused by her words, Sheldon still laughed at her with bulging eyes. This is unbearable. So, we are making our own Halloween costumes. Sheldon put on a face that said you know the answer but still ask. I know. Penny couldn't help but said jokingly, what I'm asking is why you want to make them yourself. These things are sold all over the streets. Oh, Penny, she was interrupted by Sheldon before she finished her words. Sheldon shook his head and laughed, calling her name 3 times in a row in a tone that made Penny very suffocated, and immediately her sense of humor disappeared. Oh, what? Penny supported her waist with her hands, lowered her head slightly, rolled her eyes, and imitated Sheldon's tone to retort. I don't need to explain this, do I? Sheldon smiled at the corner of his mouth and looked at Penny with eyes full of pity. Be nice, Sheldon. Seeing that Sheldon had made Penny sulking with just a few words, Leonard interrupted her distressingly and took the initiative to explain to Penny, from childhood to adulthood, almost all of our uniforms and clothes are made by ourselves, except for those precious movie props. I know. Penny was still angry. Although Leonard was helping her out, he was her licker. In addition, Leonard was Sheldon's roommate and good friend. She couldn't fight Sheldon. Who else could she be angry at if not Leonard? I'm asking why. Why? Sheldon couldn't help but answer again. Halloween is coming soon. This year, there is a contest for the best Halloween group costumes in Stuart's comic book store. He can definitely lead the team to win the championship. He even rehearsed the winning speech in his mind several times, which made him in a good mood every day these days. Since he was in a good mood, Sheldon didn't mind giving some pointers to Penny, the blonde monkey. Penny, do you know? There are two kinds of people in the world. One kind is the ordinary people who spend their own money to buy those uniforms that are unoriginal and ill-fitting. The other kind is the genius who first uses his brain and then works to perfectly realize his genius ideas. As Sheldon spoke, he pointed at Penny and then at himself. When Leonard glared at him, he took back the more irritating words that followed, puffed his mouth, opened his eyes wide, looked at the angry Penny, and smiled without saying a word. That's not right. Leonard quickly tried to smooth things over. Not all geniuses make their own uniforms. Owen never makes them himself. He buys them all himself. But Owen's uniforms are all custom made. Sheldon retorted like a nitpicker. How can they be the same as those bought outside? Then they are still bought. Leonard couldn't help but shout. Okay. Seeing that Leonard was about to explode, Sheldon shrugged and continued to operate the sewing machine. Goodbye, Leonard. Penny rolled her eyes and turned around to leave this suffocating place, but a thought flashed through her mind. Am I a masochist? Why am I always so angry with Sheldon? And I always secretly swear that I will never come here again, but in the end I can't do it every time. Wait a minute, Penny. Leonard stood up and called Penny. What's wrong? Penny said with a cold face. If you don't have any plans for Halloween, why don't you join us? Leonard was not as tall as Penny, nor as strong as Penny. He was forced by Penny's momentum when she turned back and took several steps back. He twisted his fingers and paused there for several seconds. Finally, he suppressed the fear in his heart and said, "Join you?" Penny sneered. "Yes," Leonard said excitedly. "It's very interesting. Owen suggested that we form a team as Marvel Avengers this time. I'm the Hulk, Sheldon is Iron Man, Howard is Hawkeye, Rajesh is Thor, and you can be the Black Widow." "Black Widow?" Penny shouted. "It's just a nickname," Leonard explained quickly. "She is a super agent and one of the few female superheroes in the Avengers. She is very sexy and hot. I think you are very suitable." "Really?" Hearing the familiar flattery, Penny's expression relaxed a little. "Yes." Seeing that the goddess was quite interested, Leonard immediately became energetic and tried his best to invite her. "If you join us as Black Widow, I'm sure we can easily win the Halloween Best Team Award." Best Team Award? Penny immediately remembered the luxurious 4-day trip to San Diego arranged by Irving last time and asked with interest, "Are we going to San Diego again?" "No," Leonard explained with a smile. "Last time it was the annual International Comic Expo, and this time it is the Halloween in costume competition held by Stuart's comic shop downstairs, which is equivalent to a party." Penny responded disappointedly, then thought of something and said, "Stuart's comic shop?" "Yes," Leonard introduced. "It's just downstairs from us. We basically buy comics and peripheral toys there. Stuart is the boss there, and he is also our friend." "Is he the middle-aged uncle with a pale face and stiff movements, who stares at me through the window with a very weird and scary look every time I walk by?" Penny pouted and asked. "Stuart is not a middle-aged uncle. He is about the same age as us, but he looks a little old," Leonard explained with a smile, and then nodded affirmatively. "But you are right, that is him. You must be kidding." Penny was shocked. "He is about the same age as you? Wait a minute, you are all doctors, you have studied for so many years, and you have worked for several years, so you are all in your 30s and almost 40 now?" No, Leonard waved his hands and said quickly, "We are all geniuses, we skipped grades in school, and we are only 26 or 27 years old this year. It's not what you think." Having said that, looking at Penny's doubtful eyes, Leonard wanted to slap himself in the mouth and wailed in his heart, "Damn Stuart, why is he 26 years old, but looks like 86 years old?" Chapter 103 Halloween. Pasadena, October 31st, 2007. Nightfall. Tomorrow is November 1st, one of the traditional Western festivals, Halloween, or the Western version of the Ghost Festival. But like Christmas Eve, the night before Christmas, tonight's Halloween is the most lively. Every household has started to dress up. Some have lit pumpkin lanterns in front of their doors, and some have not. Those who have lit pumpkin lanterns say they welcome children dressed up as ghosts or cute characters in cartoons and animations to knock on their doors and ask for candy. If they don't give them candy, the children will play pranks. Not only children dress up like this, but many adults do the same because they believe that many ghosts will dress up as children to celebrate Halloween. In order to make the ghosts more harmonious and relaxed, they simply dress like this. Therefore, tonight can be said to be a place of thousands of people, with demons and ghosts running rampant. It is larger and more lively than the San Diego International Comic Con. It is conceivable that Sheldon and others, who are adults, but still maintain their childlike innocence, and are hardcore comic and movie cosplay players, are so enthusiastic. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Iron Man Sheldon has put on his iron suit and is sitting on his throne without taking off his helmet. He put his hand on the armrest of the sofa and swayed his blue iron eyes to scan the surroundings. People who are familiar with him know that Sheldon must be smiling with enjoyment under the iron mask. Leonard is wearing a green uniform that highlights his muscles, outlining his entire abdominal muscles into pieces. He also deliberately puts on makeup on his face, which is full of green. If it weren't for the physical limitations such as his short stature and slightly protruding belly, Leonard's version of the Hulk would be quite good. Howard is much simpler, wearing a black agent uniform, carrying a quiver on his back, and holding a bow and arrow in his hand. He used to often dress up as an archer, and he had a pair of extremely vulgar eyes. Even if he was peeping from a distance, Penny would feel extremely uncomfortable. Therefore, Howard's hockey was truly worthy of his name and full of verve. Finally, there was Rajesh's Thor. With Thor's hammer in hand and his gayness, this Thor was more like a comedian than a cool guy. Dong dong, dong dong, dong dong. The captain is here. Seeing that the code was correct, Sheldon's Iron Man stood up, walked to the door, and opened it. Puff. Robin, who was wearing a tight black agent suit, burst into laughter. Captain. Sheldon's embarrassed and angry voice came from the mask. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Robin's Mariah Hill. It was not professional at all. Director Hill, please watch your posture. Captain America Rowan, who was wearing a star-spangled suit and holding a shield, shouted in a deep voice, "Don't forget the purpose of your coming here." "Sorry, ahem." Robin quickly apologized, coughed lightly, and according to the script given by Owen before, he straightened his slender body and said indifferently, "Mr. Stark." Director Hill. Sheldon nodded with satisfaction and stepped aside. Robin almost laughed again when he saw the appearance of Leonard and the other two, but after all, he was a reporter and morning news host, so he had good self-control. With a cold face, he perfectly interpreted the character of Mariah Hill, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. At this time, the movie had not been filmed yet, so everyone naturally followed the setting in the comics. In the comics, Mariah Hill had been the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain X3. Where's Natasha? Captain America Rowan looked around at everyone and asked with a righteous face. "I'm changing clothes. My body is too tight, so it will take more time." Howard Hawkeye, his hawk eyes seemed to be able to penetrate two walls, said obscenely, "If time is tight, I can go over to urge her." "No." Leonard Hulk pushed Howard Hawkeye away and roared, "Hulk, I'll hit you." Okay. Howard Hawkeye raised his hand to show weakness and said, "Big guy, don't get excited, relax, I'm just kidding." "Hulk, I don't like it." Leonard Hulk stared at Howard Hawkeye and roared. Rajesh Thor was silent and turned his back. "Hey, guys." Penny Black Widow, who was also dressed in a black tight-fitting uniform, appeared. "Wow. Hulk. Oh." The above voices came from Howard, Leonard, and Rajesh. "Jesus Christ." Director Robin Hill looked down at her feet, then looked up at Penny Black Widow, who was about to burst under the tight uniform, and took a breath of cold air, leaned close to Owen's ear, and complained, "Damn it, Owen, why didn't you remind me in advance? If I had known, I would have equipped more magical things. Women are all competitive. They wore the same black tights, but they had two completely different effects. This made the defeated Robin very unhappy. It doesn't matter. Owen looked at Penny Black Widow righteously, secretly praising Penny for having nothing else, but the horizontally growing fat was awesome. He comforted Robin. You are going for the cool route. How can she compare with you? Really? Robin was half believing and half doubting, but a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Of course. Owen said firmly, if I have to choose one between you, I will choose you 100%. This is the truth. Whether it is appearance, temperament, or cosplay identity, Robin Hill is better than Penny Black Widow. One is high-end private customization, and the other is mass consumption. Scarcity makes things valuable. Naturally, mass consumption cannot compare with high-end private customization. As for Owen's favorite brutal temperament, just kidding. Does Owen need it? The Avengers of the Big Bang Theory have finally assembled. Under the leadership of Owen, Captain America, and director Robin Hill, they went downstairs together and came to Stewart's comic shop. There are already many otakus dressed in various costumes in the store. When director Robin Hill and Penny Black Widow appeared, waves of gasps came one after another. Oh my god. Robin had never seen such a scene before. He pulled Owen's hand, pointed at the otakus standing there, and exclaimed, Owen, look, they are bleeding. A lot of blood. Are you okay? What a shame. Howard looked up at the otakus with eagle eyes, and laughed triumphantly and scolded, they are just two beauties. Which of you has not seen all the beauties in the world, and you are still so out of control? But that was in the computer. Someone wiped the blood from his nose and said weakly, tonight, the Avengers of the Big Bang Theory, led by Owen, won the championship with an undisputed lead. The party was over, and the heroes thought the war was won, but they didn't know that a secret war was quietly starting. P.S. Thanks to Liuaogu for the reward. Chapter 104. What is coming will come. Call Tech faculty and staff apartment. Room 6B. What are you doing? Robin version of Mariah Hill, just lying on the sofa to rest for a while, saw that Owen had changed into a uniform without knowing when. The pattern on the uniform changed from stars and stripes to an octopus-like animal waving many tentacles. Owen's eyes also changed, from the righteousness just now to a little evil. Hail Hydra! Owen, the captain of Hydra, shouted a slogan, and rushed towards Robin Hill, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain, what's wrong with you? Under Owen's influence, Robin was also experienced in cosplay. Seeing Owen's appearance, he immediately remembered that there was indeed a long line in the script that Owen had given him before. She originally thought that part had been deleted, but she didn't expect it to be here. However, it's also quite interesting. Mariah Hill, I didn't expect you to be a spy who infiltrated our Hydra S.H.I.E.L.D. branch. As the captain of Hydra, today I will punish you on behalf of the sun. Robin wanted to laugh when she heard this second-year dialogue, but when she met Owen's tyrannical eyes, her heart was moved, and as the water vapor rose, her cold and elegant aura became even stronger. I never thought that the great Captain America would be the captain of Hydra. Those heroes of the Avengers would never have thought of this, right? Humph. Captain Owen of Hydra said confidently, of course. At least in the next 10 years, they would never have thought that the leader they rely on would be the one of their arch-enemy Hydra. I won't let you succeed. Robin Hill said righteously, no matter what you are planning, you are doomed to fail. Then we'll see. Captain Owen of Hydra smiled evilly, pressed the specially customized shield, and the center of the shield opened, and a gem-emitting yellow light rose up. This is the Mind Stone among the Infinity Stones. It can control the human mind. As long as it touches you, you will be controlled by it. You will become the real director of the Hydra S.H.I.E.L.D. branch in a while. Hey, how could this happen? But when Owen pressed the shield against Robin, the Mind Stone, the brainwashing artifact that had always been invincible, had no reaction when it touched Robin. I don't believe it. Come again. Captain Owen Hydra shouted, and changed to place, pressing the mind gem in the center of the shield again, but there was still no response. This is impossible. How could this happen? My will cannot be controlled. Robin Hill said arrogantly according to the script. Haha, I know. Captain Owen Hydra glanced at Robin Hill, and his eyes paused for a long time at the two places where the mind gem touched just now. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he laughed. "No wonder you are so confident. It turns out that you used a magic artifact to block the power of the mind gem. Humph. How could I repeat the lesson of Loki's failure to control Iron Man that year?" Robin Hill heard this. His face suddenly changed drastically, and when he was about to get close to counterattack, he saw Captain Owen Hydra shouted, "Touch the clothes and fall." Before the voice fell, Robin Hill felt cold all over, and before she could react, the yellow mind gem had already hit her. This collision was like a collision of particles, and a huge explosion occurred directly. Robin Hill was cold all over. The fearless will just now began to disintegrate under the illumination of the yellow light. "Hail Hydra. Very good. Now we are the closest teammates, and we can start the secret war." The next day, at noon, Owen was still sleeping. In his previous life, Owen always heard that being an actor was very tiring and hard. Now he finally had a personal experience. Last night's Captain Hydra's Secret War was written, directed and performed by Owen himself. Even with Owen's current strong endurance, he felt a little tired. But just like actors and directors who have gained both fame and fortune, Owen is also very fulfilled and happy. So he will never complain about anything. Never. You have too many tricks. When saying goodbye at the airport, Robin couldn't help but admire. Even if you don't have such a genius brain, with your imagination and tricks, as well as your strong physical fitness, you will definitely become famous in the nearby San Fernando Valley. Haha. Owen smiled complacently. "When one day I really fall to that level, I will definitely invite you to be the heroine and reshoot our secret war last night. It will definitely make a sensation in America." The airport reminder sounded. "Goodbye, Robin." "Goodbye, Owen." Robin waved goodbye, looked at Owen with some melancholy, and turned to the boarding gate. No matter how strong she was still a woman, and deep down she still had a woman's sentimental side. Although she had a lot of fun playing with Owen, and she admired Owen's big player attributes, when she found that Owen's eyes were looking at her from beginning to end, the melancholy and sadness in her heart were really indescribable. Am I wrong? After Halloween, time suddenly became much faster. November passed in a flash, and December soon came to an end. In the blink of an eye, it was almost Christmas. Because Christmas is close to New Year's Day, in the United States, these two holidays are usually combined. Most of them are from December 22nd to January 5th, which is about 2 weeks, which is the winter break that American drama fans in the previous life are very familiar with. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Everyone was eating dinner and chatting at the same time. Because Penny and Leonard's relationship has recently become closer, and Penny is in financial crisis, so she is also here. "So, Penny, Christmas is coming soon. Are you going back to Omaha?" Leonard was concerned about everything about his goddess. "I don't know yet," Penny said worriedly. "I have several movie auditions recently, and they are all close to Christmas. I'm afraid I won't be able to get home in time. If you really can't go back, I can stay and spend Christmas together. How about that?" Leonard suggested with a bright look in his eyes. "Isn't this bad?" Penny was a little touched, but still refused. "Christmas is a day for family reunion. You should go back to celebrate Christmas, not for..." "Don't worry," Leonard interrupted. "You don't know the pain I feel when I go home for Christmas every year. In fact, we have celebrated Christmas together before. Rajesh will definitely be there. Sheldon doesn't matter, and Harwood can just let Mrs. Wonovitz prepare a Christmas dinner for us. Owen doesn't want to go back either." Ahem. Owen coughed lightly and interrupted with a wry smile. "Although I really don't want to go back for Christmas, I can't do it this time. I received a call and I have to go back, so I'm sorry." At this point, a crazy white figure flashed in Owen's mind, and he thought to himself, "What is coming will always come. What an embarrassing Christmas." Chapter 105 Trust Fund. Suburban Chicago. Highland Park. This is a satellite city of Chicago, and also a long-established wealthy area of Chicago, adjacent to Lake Michigan. A manor-style mansion is built by the lake, covering nearly 3 hectares. Designed by top designers, the outdoor scenery is magnificent and the interior is full of modern technology. The 3 floors of the villa have full-length floor-to-ceiling windows. Looking out from the living room, you can see the beautiful lake view. The interior lines are simple and smooth, with excellent texture. Various high-tech decorations and furniture make the whole villa full of futuristic science fiction. There are 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, 7 garages, and other facilities such as outdoor gardens, hot springs, saunas, massage rooms, swimming pools, activity rooms, and even basketball courts, golf courses, etc. It is worth up to $8 million US. No matter where it is, it can be called a real mansion. Master Owen. As the automatic iron gate outside the manor slowly opened, a Ferrari sports car with beautiful lines drove into the manor under the respectful address of the doorman. After driving for a long time on the beautiful tree-lined path, they finally stopped. "Ha, my dearest little Owen, you are finally back." In the courtyard, a graceful lady surrounded by maids was waiting there. When she saw Owen getting out of the Ferrari, she greeted him with a loving face and gave Owen a warm hug. "Aunt Lisa." Owen hugged her back, and after letting go, he looked at her complexion and greeted her with a smile. "How are you recently? Do you have any good inspiration? Little Owen is so successful, how can I not be okay?" Lisa Sampson pulled Owen up and down and looked at him, smiling lovingly. "You bought us such a big villa, which is really something your Uncle Jack and I could never dream of. Life is so good. Where does the inspiration come from? You know, a hard life is the breeding ground for excellent works of art. This is the truth." Although Jack Sampson is a dentist and earns a lot of money, his annual salary of hundreds of thousands of dollars is still a standard middle class in America. Although Lisa is a part-time writer, it is more of a hobby. It is a luxury to make a lot of money by writing. The couple wants to buy this top mansion worth $8 million US, but it is impossible to work hard all their lives. Even if they can barely buy it, they can't afford the maintenance cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Therefore, now living in this luxurious manor villa, enjoying the life of a wealthy man served by maids, they really can't imagine it if they haven't read the adventure novels on the other side of the ocean. However, they are lucky that they kindly adopted Irving and paid their true heart in the process. When Irving swept Wall Street and became a real billionaire, he immediately gave them a generous reward. You know, Irving's idol, one of the providers of genius ideas, Steve Jobs, after becoming a billionaire, only gave his adoptive parents who raised him with all their money $750,000 US to help them repay debts and improve their lives. Although Jobs was famous for his stinginess and selfishness, judging from the fact that this matter could be passed down as a good story, this amount of money should not be considered small. In fact, $750,000 in 1980 was indeed a lot. In the United States, billionaires actually refer to billionaires, and those with a net worth of $100 million should theoretically be called 100 millionaires. Irving is a real billionaire, while Jobs was a millionaire of several hundred millionaires. Although there was a 25-year time cost, because the US dollar was relatively strong, $750,000 was still far less than $8 million. The subsequent maintenance costs of the mansion were also contracted by Irving, which was another large expense, and giving away the mansion was just one of Irving's big gifts. It is conceivable how generous Irving's gift was. It can be said that in America, where the finances of husband and wife are very independent, this is absolutely very rare. This is because Owen has a good impression of the Sampson family, has a system, makes money too easily, has no interest in money, and does not regard money as money. Otherwise, if it were anyone else, no matter how grateful they are to the Sampson family, they would never be so generous. At night, the lights are bright. Uncle Owen, X2, a pair of 8-year-old cute twins rushed in from the door, shouting, and crashed into Owen's arms from the left and right. From behind came their mother's reminder and their father's jealous voice. Slow down, two little rascals. I have never received such a warm welcome from you. Hi, Elizabeth, Aaron. Hi, Owen. X2. Owen greeted Elizabeth and her husband, and Elizabeth, like Lisa, gave Owen a warm hug. In recent years, although she was carefree and had no great ambitions, she achieved her goals. She married a dentist like her father Jack, and gave birth to a pair of cute twins. Elizabeth, who lives a happy life, and Owen is really no different from siblings. Elizabeth's husband Aaron is also very affectionate to Owen. Of course, compared to the sincerity of Lisa and Elizabeth, Aaron pays more attention to Owen's billionaire status and unparalleled generosity. This involves another big move of Owen. He took out a large sum of money and set up a trust fund, listing Lisa and her husband, Elizabeth and her pair of cute little ones, and Bianca as beneficiaries. This is a typical way for the rich to pass on wealth. It not only passes on wealth, but also effectively limits the next generation's wanton squandering, breaking the curse that wealth cannot last for more than 3 generations to a certain extent. The maintenance cost of this mansion is covered by this trust fund, and Elizabeth's pair of cute little ones' future education, medical care and other large expenses are also included. Aaron was not unwilling to be selected as a beneficiary. Owen noticed this, and could understand it. After all, even on the other side of the ocean, once so much wealth is involved, there may be dirty things between real relatives, let alone in America, where the affection between each other must be descanted and reserved. It is impossible for Aaron not to envy Owen's wealth. But they are both smart people, and Owen is not a genius like Sheldon who only has IQ but no EQ. When he was with Aaron and even the Sampson family, he knocked a few times without making a sound, and completely froze the seedlings that had not yet broken through the ground to death in the ground. Elizabeth coaxed the pair of cute little ones who were clinging to Owen away temporarily, and took Owen out of the mansion, walking and chatting in the beautiful courtyard. Owen, tell me the truth. What happened between you and Bianca? Suddenly, Elizabeth changed the subject and asked a question that made Owen smile bitterly. Chapter 106. The Last Madness. Suburban Chicago. Sampson Manor Mansion. In the courtyard, Elizabeth's eyes rolled, and she asked the question she was most concerned about. Ever since Bianca was misdiagnosed with cancer 5 years ago, I felt something was wrong between you two. No? Owen denied calmly. Elizabeth, you know, my relationship with Bianca has always been average, since we were young. I know. Hearing this, Elizabeth frowned unconfidently, and began to doubt her sixth sense. She murmured, but in recent years, I always feel that you are avoiding each other. You even take turns to come back for Christmas. Either you are out of the country for something, or she has to work overtime. There must be a problem. As she spoke, she stared at Owen's expression, trying to find clues. Really? Owen didn't change his expression, pretending to frown, and thinking for a while, then shrugged and said, if you hadn't reminded me, I really wouldn't have noticed it. Elizabeth, you know, Bianca and I are very busy. Bianca is a doctor. Of course she is very busy, while Owen is not busy at work, but busy with life. But Elizabeth, who is far away in Chicago, doesn't know that. She only knows that both doctors and scientists are indeed very busy, so she is even less confident in her own guess. Am I overthinking it? Yeah. Owen smiled and said, it must be that you think too much. Although Bianca and I have an average relationship, we shouldn't avoid each other, right? Elizabeth opened her mouth and wanted to say another bold idea, but now there is no evidence to prove her guess. If it is finally proved to be wrong, it would be too embarrassing, so she could only swallow the words that were about to come out of her mouth. Owen is a man who has been playing with women for many years, and is very sensitive to women's minds. Seeing Elizabeth's expression, he understood that Elizabeth probably had some guesses, but she was not sure, so it was not easy to bring it up. But not mentioning it is the best way to deal with it, so Owen is happy to pretend that he doesn't know. After all, it would be bad if the truth was really told. Although Owen has no blood relationship with the Sampson family, and he was adopted as a nephew rather than an adopted son, he can't be blamed for the incident at the beginning, but he is still like Elizabeth's biological brother. Once the matter is exposed, there will definitely be more troubles after the embarrassment, so it is the best choice for Bianca and him to tacitly pretend that nothing has happened. The chat ends here. Owen returned to the mansion and played with Elizabeth's pair of little cuties. Aaron was chatting with Jack next to him, and Elizabeth was accompanying Lisa to direct the maids to prepare dinner. Bianca came late an hour later. The atmosphere of a family dinner with children and a family dinner without children is completely different. Owen never thought about having children in this life, but because of Elizabeth, he still loves the cute twins who are very attached to him. Therefore, the whole family dinner was lively, which temporarily dispelled Elizabeth's idea of further exploration. After the dinner, Elizabeth and Aaron took the reluctant children back home, while Bianca was summoned back by a phone call from the hospital during the dinner. Lisa and Jack took Owen to sit on the sofa and chat, and inevitably talked about the unavoidable topic. Owen, you are 30 years old, and you still don't have a formal girlfriend? Aunt Lisa, you know me, I'm very busy at work, and it is a waste of time to talk about a girlfriend, but don't worry, I have female friends. Lisa thought of Owen's style in high school, rolled her eyes and said angrily, I know you have a lot of female friends, but you have to find someone to marry. Do you want to find someone casually, or bring all your female friends to live with you? Hey, this is a good idea. Owen clapped his hands and smiled, and seeing Lisa glaring at him, he shrugged and said, I'm kidding, Aunt Lisa, don't be angry, but in our scientific community, there are still many scientists who don't get married. Are you kidding me again? Lisa widened her eyes and said in disbelief, are you also planning to stay single for life? Owen, are you serious? Jack's face became serious. He remembered that he had heard Owen casually mention this before, but they all regarded it as an immature idea of a teenager playing with flowers, but now it seems that it is not an immature idea at all. I have always been serious. Owen said sincerely, what is the meaning of marriage? Passing on offspring, living together? These are meaningless to me, right? Lisa and Jack heard this, and after a moment of silence, they couldn't help but comfort Owen. Modern technology is so advanced, your disease will always have a chance to be cured. For me, this is not a disease at all, really. Owen smiled and said, instead, it is a very useful superpower. This time, not only Lisa, but even Jack couldn't help rolling his eyes, but Jack's eyes clearly flashed with envy and jealousy. Late at night, everyone was already asleep, and the door of Owen's room was gently pushed open. A figure walked in, locked the door with his hand, and walked towards Owen. With Owen's ability, he naturally heard the movement, but he still closed his eyes, pretending to be asleep, allowing the other party to do whatever he wanted. This man of Villa was bought by Owen, and he also asked someone to design it. Because of his special requirements, the sound insulation effect is super good, so no matter how loud the singing in Owen's room is, the whole manor is still quiet and silent. 3 o'clock in the morning. How did you do it? The figure finally spoke. What do you mean? Owen said lazily. Stop pretending. The figure pushed Owen in displeasure. About my cancer. You kept reminding me before, and then I was really diagnosed with cancer, and it was in the late stage. Then, after being crazy with you for more than 10 days, it was inexplicably misdiagnosed. There must be something wrong here. I just said it casually before. Owen closed his eyes and said casually, besides, you are a doctor, you should know that misdiagnosis of cancer is not uncommon at all. What's the problem? Cancer is a very magical thing. Even if Owen reminds you in advance, it will still come, and even early prevention cannot be done. Because many cancers are hidden very deeply in the early stage, without any abnormal symptoms. Unless you know clearly what kind of cancer you have, it is possible to conduct targeted examinations. Otherwise it will not be discovered at all. By the time it can be discovered, most of the cancers are in the late stage. The figure was silent for a moment, obviously knowing that what Owen said made sense, but the woman's intuition told her that there must be something wrong. So she asked, but why do you have to make me drink so much? Ahem. Before the other party finished speaking, Owen was shocked by this sentence and coughed non-stop. He opened his eyes and shouted, don't talk as if I forced you. It was obviously you who took the initiative to ask for it. It was you who drove me crazy at the beginning. The figure was silent again, because this was indeed the fact. When she learned that she had terminal cancer, she was completely stunned. Her first reaction was to find Owen, who had been reminding her all the time. Then when Owen was trying to find a solution, she didn't think Owen had any solution. Her mind was full of the thought of being a good girl all my life. I must go crazy and die in the end. When this thought filled her mind, when she looked at Owen again, her thoughts had completely changed. She was very clear about Owen's reputation, because her good girlfriends told her almost everything, and she had been teased many times. In the past, because she was still rational, some thoughts only flashed through her mind. Now that she was about to die, why would she care? So, when Owen exchanged skill 3 in the system and wanted to tell her the good news, she was knocked down by the crazy female doctor. She didn't believe it at all and didn't want to listen at all. The only thing she wanted to do was one thing. Chapter 107. I've recognized you as my brother. Suburban Chicago. Samson Manor Mansion. Humph. You're talking as if you don't want to. Although what Owen said was true, Bianca still hit the nail on the head. Owen was speechless. It takes two to tango. Without his half-hearted push, even if Bianca was a crazy female doctor, it would be useless. You know, I'm a real man. How can I refuse such a thing? Owen smiled embarrassedly. Besides, in that situation, I'm afraid you won't be able to let it go. Bianca's heart was moved, and she was silent. She thought to herself, what Isabel and the others said is not exaggerated at all. Owen is indeed a real man, and he is indeed shameless. Thinking of this, Bianca got up and left. She was not a resentful woman. As a female doctor, she thought about Owen and treated him as a tool. She would use him when he was around and forget about him when he was not around. Besides, she also had a boyfriend. This Christmas, Owen was used as a tool. December 26th. At night. Ding-a-ling. Owen's cell phone rang. He took it out and smiled at Bianca. It's Barry. Hi, buddy, what's up? Buddy, I have good news for you. Rachel and I have set a date for our wedding. Barry smiled happily on the other end of the phone. Oh, great, congratulations. Owen smiled. When is the wedding date? Do you need my help? March 12th. Barry shouted, of course I need your help. You're my best man. Really? Owen raised his lips. It's Milner. You know, when I first saw you and Rachel, I thought, I've decided on you as my brother. Bianca, who was standing next to him, instinctively felt that there was something wrong with what Owen said, but she didn't understand where the problem was, because she didn't know that this was a joke from across the ocean. Hi, Barry, congratulations. Oh, is that Bianca? Barry on the other end of the phone was stunned, then reacted and said, I forgot about your relationship with Owen. Are you spending Christmas together this year? Yeah. Bianca smiled and said, you and Rachel have been engaged for so long. You should have gotten married a long time ago. But why didn't you notify me first? You know, you and Owen met because of me. Barry is a dentist and has interned at St. Grace Hospital in Chicago where Bianca works. Owen and he met at a doctor's party hosted by Bianca's best friend Isabel. At that time, he brought his girlfriend Rachel Green who flew over from New York to see him. Sorry. Barry apologized. Of course I won't forget you. The invitation will be sent out soon. The reason why I informed Owen first is because he is my best man. In the United States, wedding invitations are very formal. They are usually sent out 6 to 8 weeks in advance in the form of wedding invitations, which include the names of the newlyweds and wedding venue, date and other wedding information. Some will also ask guests to check whether to bring a companion or choose the main course, etc. Haha, I'm kidding. Bianca interrupted Barry's explanation and laughed. It's just that I didn't expect that you and Owen had such a good relationship later, that you actually invited him to be the best man. The bride and groom will have their own best man and bridesmaid group to assist the newlyweds in arranging wedding affairs, especially the best man and the first bridesmaid, who are responsible for leading various parties and have to give speeches at the wedding. It can be said that the best man is a very important identity in Western weddings, and it is an honor that people like Barney are striving to pursue. Of course, Barney values the rights of the best man more. The legendary Ultimate Bachelor Night Party is a classic project led by the best man. I didn't expect that either. Barry sighed. After playing with Owen a few times, I found that Owen was so cool. I'm so lucky to be able to be good friends with him. Me too, Barry. Owen smiled meaningfully. Believe me, I think so too. Then it's settled. I still have to inform other people. I'm hanging up first. Goodbye. After chatting for a while, Barry hung up the phone. You have a problem. Bianca stared at Owen and said affirmatively, although Barry is a good person, he is definitely not worthy of your warm acceptance. Besides, in addition to many female friends, how many male friends do you have such a good relationship with over the years? Barry has nothing worth your concern. Unless, yes, it must be Rachel. I know that Rachel is so beautiful, and you are so bad. You must have been planning to hit her for a long time, right? Owen was speechless after being analyzed. After a long time, he grinned and said, in your mind, am I this kind of person? Aren't you? Bianca became more confident in her own judgment, and looked at Owen with disdain. Well, I'm indeed that kind of person. Owen shrugged. Shameless. Bianca said contemptuously, Barry trusts you so much, and you actually want to hit on Rachel. You are such a scumbag. Stop. Owen interrupted. I just admire Rachel purely. I promise that I have absolutely no intention of destroying their marriage. Really? Bianca was stunned by Owen's firm tone. Then why do you get along so well with Barry? Owen smiled mysteriously. People are attracted to beautiful things and get closer and closer. Isn't it normal? Just like the unsolved mystery of cancer. Owen didn't want to say it, and Bianca had no way to do it. Besides, she was very busy every day, so she didn't have time to think about these boring gossips. Seeing that she couldn't get anything out of it, she let it go. December 31st, New Year's Eve. Owen left Chicago and came to New York to meet Barry and Rachel. Of course, Rachel's chief bridesmaid Mindy was also indispensable. This is the wedding I want. Rachel described it with a look of longing. Owen and the other two smiled and cheered. Everything seemed very harmonious, but Owen knew that under the table, Mindy was counting the coins in Barry's pants with her toes, and Barry was obviously enjoying it, wishing that his pants were filled with bundles of coins. After Rachel and Mindy left, that's too much, Owen complained. According to the American customs that Barney had instilled in Owen, bridesmaids should belong to the best man. I'm sorry, Barry smiled apologetically. I didn't mean to, but you know Why does this sound so familiar? Owen was in a trance and felt that the words were somewhat familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had heard it. However, his attention was not on this, but he reminded meaningfully, Barry, remember that you owe me one. I know. Barry nodded repeatedly. I owe you a big favor, and I will definitely pay you back in the future. Seeing this, Owen smiled with satisfaction. Everything is self-evident. P.S. Thank you for the reward from Enough. Chapter 108 New Year's Bell. New York. New Year's Eve. Owen, where are you? Barney called and shouted. Listen, tick-tock, the Watford crystal clock is roaring, and the New Year's countdown is about to begin. We are in Times Square. Please come quickly. After the New Year, it will be our New Year hunting ceremony. Sorry, Barney. In the penthouse apartment of 157 in downtown Manhattan, Owen looked down at New York's Times Square from a distance through the floor-to-ceiling windows. There were already crowds of people there, no less than any tourist attraction during the holidays in his previous life. I'm afraid I can't participate in the hunt this year. Why? Barney shouted. Because I'm being hunted now. Owen smiled. Remember the very caring Russian twin sisters I told you about last time? It's freezing raining in Antarctica again, and they are going to donate money to polar bears, giant pandas and giraffes. Count me in. Barney said excitedly. I want a sister. No, I want a younger sister. Owen, which one do you want? Come on. Owen joked. Only children do multiple choice questions. Barney, we are all adults, and naturally we want everything in the adult world. No. Barney shouted in anger. Brothers are like limbs, women are like clothes, and you treat your brothers like this. Haha. Owen smiled unmoved. Don't pretend. You are the most skilled in this kind of thing. Ted and Matthew have been deceived by you so many times. I hate you. Barney yelled, then his emotions were instantly restrained, and he hung up the phone calmly. What Owen said was absolutely right. Barney was an old hand at cutting off limbs for clothes. His displeasure just now was just because of the swap of identities. Barney was the one whose limbs were cut off. Inside the penthouse of 157, Owen shook his head and hung up the phone. How could a good man like him cut off his limbs for clothes, even if it was for charity? What he said just now was just an excuse. He had something important to do. System, show the attribute panel. Yes, master. The American TV system agreed, and the attribute panel appeared in Owen's consciousness. Existence points. 23 plus 12 asterisk 2 asterisk 12 plus 100 asterisk 2 asterisk 1 plus 12 asterisk 3 13 100 2030 50 50 50 equals 134 points. Only 134. 120 equals 14 points can collide, so the existence points are 14 points. Negative pole. 404-12 asterisk 2 asterisk 12 100 asterisk 2 asterisk 1 12 asterisk 3 asterisk 1 equals 120. The negative pole has been completely eliminated, and the positive pole accumulation is 120 points. Note, from 1995 to 2006. For 12 years, I was friends with Sheldon and Leonard, and each of them provided 12 points per year. In 2006, I won the Fields Medal, and Sheldon and Leonard were automatically upgraded to good friends, and each of them provided 100 points per year. In 2007, I became friends with Howard, Rajesh, and Penny. The points that consume existence points are intelligence improvement, strength improvement, speed improvement, endurance improvement, exchange skill 2, use skill 2, exchange skill 3. See their respective lists for details. Driver card. 6. Summer, Jyoye, Jamie Ines, Bianca Samson, Queen Amidala, Robin. Note, the driver cards consumed when exchanging for skill 2 and skill 3 have been removed. Please see their respective lists for details. This list is the remaining driver cards and punch-in goddesses. Intelligence, LV5+. Note, intelligence is increased from LV5 to LV5, and then to LV5+, consuming a total of 100 existence points. Strength, LV2+. Note, strength is increased from LV2 to LV2+ in stages, consuming 20 existence points. Speed, LV2+. Note, speed is increased from LV2 to LV2+ in stages, consuming 30 existence points. Endurance, LV3. Note, endurance is increased from LV2+ to LV3 in leaps and bounds, consuming 50 existence points. Energy release, LV1. Combat skills, LV4. Skill list, skill 1, eternal oversupply gun. Skill 2, academic master mode, deep learning, inspiration bonus, requires a large amount of existence points to use. Exchange for skill 2, consume 50 existence points, and 2 driver cards. Becca Mitchell, Juno. Use skill 2 to solve the Millennium Math problem, consuming 50 existence points. Use skill 2 to build a financial mathematical model, consuming 50 existence points. Skill 3, mysterious Chinese medicine. Common sense succumbs to mystery, a mysterious skill that was once popular in a certain novel and can cure cancer in the late stage. Consume 50 existence points. 3 driver cards. Gabriel Salas, Mary, Tiffany Lawrence. System, what kind of world are we traveling to this time? Owen counted the attribute panel and began to ask the question he was most concerned about. American TV series system, master. After 19 years of experience from 1989 to 2007, you have become a qualified academic master, and the academic master training program has officially ended. During this process, your racing record is very good, but you lack a driver's license. Therefore, the theme of the next fusion world is the god of cars in Akina Mountain. Master, you need to challenge one legendary god of cars after another in the next world, perform speed and passion, and become the real god of cars in Akina Mountain, in every sense. God of cars in Akina Mountain. Owen murmured, in every sense, it sounds very domineering and interesting. System, am I traveling through time in my real body, or in my soul? How do you calculate the time difference between the positive and negative universes? Replying to the master, it is the real body that traveled through. American TV series system, the existence points accumulated by the master are originally for traveling through the multiverse. Therefore, whether it is a positive universe or the negative universe, the master's real body needs to travel through it. However, in order to facilitate the master's growth, the system will automatically construct a suitable identity for the master, and this identity is real and effective in the negative universe. As for the time difference between the positive and negative universes, when the first sound of the New Year's bell rings, the master will travel to the negative universe. Everything in the positive universe will stagnate, waiting for the master's return. The master's life consumption will be linked to the negative universe. The longer you exist in the negative universe, the more existence points you will consume. Real body travel? Owen frowned. What if I get into trouble or even die in the negative universe? Am I really dead? American TV series system. Yes, master. Once the master dies unexpectedly, the master will die completely, and the system will disappear in all senses. Therefore, the system solemnly reminds you, there are thousands of roads, and safety is the first. Driving irregularly will bring tears to your loved ones. Owen's mouth twitched, and he said speechlessly, on the one hand, you want me to be the car god of Ak in a mountain, and on the other hand, you want me to drive safely. Are you kidding me? That's right, master. American TV series system. This is the supreme law of the Tao, and the system cannot resist it. The car god who can drive safely is the car god of Ak in a mountain. If you can't drive safely and overturn the car, all traces of the master and the system will be erased. How can you be called the car god of Ak in a mountain? Okay. Owen understood it completely and sighed that the Tao is everywhere. 10, 9, 8, 71. Dang. The neat countdown sound came from Times Square. When the first bell of 2008 rang, Owen's figure disappeared. P.S. Thanks to Zanjan's IOAO for the reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109. The world is amazing. St. Juliana Hospital. HMPH. With a light hum, Owen woke up in a soft space, secretly cursing the system's arrangement of a shitty identity, which was simply murder, and then slowly opened his eyes. What he saw was a vast expanse of white at first, as if the floating clouds blocked his view, and the snow covered the mountaintops. Then a fragrant breeze blew, the floating clouds drifted, the earth shook, and a pure face came into Owen's sight. Ah, you're awake, so good. The young female nurse had obviously just entered the industry and had not been overwhelmed by the increasingly heavy nursing work. She was full of pride and enthusiasm for the nursing profession. Seeing the patient awake, she happily crossed her hands together and smiled into peach hearts. This action made Owen feel pleasing to the eye, but he was also secretly surprised and puzzled, because this is the real world, not the anime world. A normal person posing a two-dimensional action expression, even if this person has the characteristics of an anime girl, pure appearance, exaggerated figure, still made Owen look sideways. Where is this? Hello, sir. This is St. Juliana Hospital. I'm Nanae Kyoko, a nurse in the hospital. I'm very happy to serve you. The beautiful nurse straightened her body, put on a formal professional posture, bowed and introduced herself. Nanae Kyoko? Owen was shocked and blurted out, isn't it Nanae Ren? Nanae Ren? The beautiful nurse was stunned, then narrowed her eyes and smiled sweetly. What a nice name, but my name is Kyoko, not Ren. Kyoko? Owen was secretly disappointed to see that the other party was not the legend, and he didn't even know why. He muttered the other party's name in his mouth, but he felt that the name was also familiar, as if he had heard it somewhere. Thinking of this, when he looked at Nanae Kyoko's pure face again, Owen felt that this face became more and more familiar. It's a pity that Owen only liked American dramas and European and American movies in his previous life. He was very unfamiliar with the movies of the island country, and had only watched a few classic love movies and action movies sporadically. So even with Owen's powerful intelligence, he couldn't remember who Kyoko was in front of him for a while. Sir, do you need anything else? Kyoko Nanae asked enthusiastically. Oh, not for now. Owen said casually. Well, Kyoko will leave first. If you have anything, please press the call button at the head of the bed. Kyoko is at your service at any time. After Kyoko Nana's reminded him, she turned and left. Owen's mind sank into consciousness. System. Master, what do you want me to do? Are you kidding me? Owen said angrily. I just came here, and my car overturned. Do you want to kill me? I'm sorry, Master. American TV series system, but this kind of start can provide the Master with enough reminders. What reminder? This is a negative universe. If you are not careful, there will be a crisis of car crash and death. So please pay attention. Master, there are thousands of roads, and safety is the first. If you drive irregularly, your loved ones will shed tears. Owen's mouth twitched, and he was speechless for a long time. He reluctantly accepted this explanation. Thinking of the previous rollover and coma, he asked solemnly, System, when can I return to the positive universe? American TV series system, when the Master completes the assessment of the God of Cars driver's license, defeats one God of Cars after another, and becomes the world-recognized God of Cars of Akina Mountain, in various senses, then he can return to the positive universe. Owen asked, how to obtain the negative pole point? He now has only 14 existence points, which means a lifespan of 14 years. He didn't feel anything in the positive universe, but when he arrived in the negative universe where his life could be in danger at any time, he suddenly lost his sense of security. Fortunately, he has accumulated 120 positive points. As long as he gets the negative points here, the two will collide automatically, which can increase the existence points, prolong life, and provide enough fuel for the super skill too. You know, intelligence is one thing, and the state of learning is another. For example, Sheldon and his friends, each of them has genius intelligence, but when they met Penny, got girlfriends, and formed families, they almost degenerated into ordinary people, and made no achievements in the field of scientific research for more than 10 years. They themselves later noticed this situation, so they sent their girlfriends away on a weekend, and tried to reproduce the brainstorming of scientific ideas of the four people back then, but unfortunately they were no longer in the state. They tried reluctantly, and before they could say a few words, they were either distracted by funny videos or punished each other. In the end, the four of them rewatched the Star Trek series of movies from beginning to end. Brainstorming of scientific ideas is too far away from them. The deep learning function in the academic master mode, as long as there are enough existence points and the body can bear it, can keep Owen in a 200% super learning state at all times and fully develop his super intelligence. The inspiration bonus in the academic master mode is even more overbearing. Let's take Sheldon and his friends as an example. Sheldon's IQ is as high as 187, and Leonard's IQ is as high as 173, which is higher than their favorite Professor Stephen Hawking, 160, and even higher than the Great Einstein, 165. But why are their achievements far inferior to Hawking and Einstein? That's because they don't have that critical 1% of inspiration. What makes Einstein greater than other top scientists? It is this insignificant 1% of inspiration. When Owen burned his existence point and activated the inspiration bonus function in the academic master mode, after consuming 50 years of life, he successfully solved the world's millennium mathematical problem, and then the financial mathematical model that swept Wall Street, and became a billionaire. Therefore, he has a deep understanding of the overbearing and powerful academic master mode. Whether in the positive or negative universe, he has a confidence in his super intelligence and academic master mode skills. But the academic master mode is a monster that devours existence points. Without enough existence points, it cannot be enabled at all. So no matter which aspect, it is urgent for Owen to obtain existence points as soon as possible. American TV series system, as long as the master continues to challenge and defeat one car god after another, he can continuously harvest negative pole points. I see. Owen understood. After exiting the system, a group of people appeared in his vision. He recognized the leader as the chief of the Rajing Police Department. He was surprised to find that he also knew a mature woman in a white coat with exquisite appearance and exaggerated figure standing beside him. Director Jinguji, Mr. Lee is the pillar of our Rajing Police Department. This time he was injured on duty. Please be sure to give him the most comprehensive treatment, please. Director Yamashita is polite. The police department provides security for our citizens. Officer Lee was injured on duty. It is our honor to provide services for him. Please rest assured that Jin Khan has arranged the best nurses to ensure the best service for Officer Lee. P.S. Thank you for the reward from Master Bay. Chapter 110. I'm afraid that love will tire the beauty. St. Juliana Hospital. Thank you for your concern. Director Jinguji. Owen was lying on the hospital bed. After dealing with the police chief who came to visit, he shook hands with the female director of the hospital. He was a little dazed and almost let the cat out of the bag. The people watching nearby laughed at Owen's appearance, which all men understand. In their eyes, Jinguji Sora, who was in her 30s, had a young and beautiful face, an exaggerated figure like a cartoon girl, and a charming temperament of mature woman. She was really charming and indescribable. Owen was dazzled and lost his composure for a while, which was normal. Jinguji Sora understood this, but she didn't feel strange at all. She smiled coquettishly. This kind of scene was really a small matter. She was used to experiencing big scenes that shocked people. Even an old driver like Owen was moved when he saw this smile. It was not that Owen lacked concentration, but the familiar face of the other party made Owen sigh. Thinking of this, Owen looked at Nana's Kyoko standing by his side again, and had a rough guess in his mind. This might not be the legendary anime world he imagined, but there was a high probability that it was a live-action movie of that legendary anime. With the popularity of that legendary anime, it was still possible to hire famous characters in the industry to shoot a live-action movie. Judging from the two important female characters, Nana's Kyoko and Jinguji Sora, the quality of this live-action movie is really top-notch. I don't know which great god planned it. Others shoot inner stories based on the original story, but he shoots the original movie based on the inner story. It's really awesome. Broken voice. Mr. Lee, you should have a good rest in the hospital. Don't rush back to the team. After the police chief put on a show, he left with everyone. Jinguji Sora, as the director of the hospital, naturally would not stay to talk nonsense with Owen, a small figure, and left together. Only Nana's Kyoko stayed with a look of admiration. Officer Lee, you are so great and brave. Nana's Kyoko, who has a girlish face and a girlish heart, obviously took the police chief's show-off praise of Owen seriously. She was so silly and naive. No wonder she was easily threatened and deceived. Wait, instead of being fooled by that scumbag, why not? A bold idea flashed through Owen's mind. Nana's-chan, is there a doctor named Hirasaka Ryuji in your hospital? Hirasaka Ryuji? Nana's Kyoko tilted her head and thought for a while, then shook her head and said, I've never heard of this name. Hasn't he come yet? Owen thought to himself, but then his eyes fixed and he asked, then is there a doctor named Hirasaka, or a doctor named Ryuji? Yeah. That's right. Nana's Kyoko patted her head and said with a smile, a doctor named Ryuji has indeed come to our hospital recently. His full name is Kato Ryuji. He is very good at medicine. The nurses who performed surgery with him all praised him for his magical surgical hands. I heard that he is a college classmate of Ardeen. Sure enough, Owen thought to himself, this is a live-action movie, so it is naturally impossible to completely copy the settings and the anime. After all, the anime is rated 18+. The last name is Kato, and he has a pair of magical surgical hands. Could he be the legendary Nana's-chan? Do you have a boyfriend? Yes. Kyoko Nana's glanced at Owen shyly. Officer Lee, why do you ask that? Owen said with a smile. Nana's-chan is so beautiful and cute. If she doesn't have a boyfriend, I will definitely pursue her. Oh, what a pity. I don't know which man is so lucky. How could that be? Kyoko Nana's face suddenly turned red, and she said shyly, Kyoko is just an ordinary girl. Only our Naoya likes her. Naoya? Owen raised the corner of his mouth. Is he Nana's-chan's boyfriend? What does he do? A boxer? Yeah. Kyoko Nana's mentioned her boyfriend with a happy face, and said sweetly, Naoya is not a boxer. He is a new driver who aspires to be a professional racing driver. He drives great. Racing driver? Owen was shocked and thought to himself, this is another change. It is probably because this negative universe is the God of Cars universe. Then, will we gain negative points by defeating the opponent? Afterwards, under Owen's deliberate guidance, Kyoko Nanase told Owen everything he wanted to know. Feeling Nanase's strong and passionate love for her boyfriend, and thinking of the goddess in the anime world, who was so passionate but suffered humiliation, Owen sighed in his heart, and adjusted the idea of defeating Naoya in every sense to defeating Naoya in a racing race. He never hides his scumbag attributes, but compared with other scumbags, he is a scumbag with a very low limit. Just like when he was in high school, he imitated the sacred vow made by Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, "I'm willing to use my own stinky skin to save all the scumbags in the world. If there are no scumbags, I will not become an immortal." Whether it is before or after the fall, Nanase has nothing to do with scumbags. On the contrary, she is still a good girl and a true goddess who is loyal to one man and passionate. Therefore, although Owen is quite moved by Nanase's appearance, he still resolutely chooses to give up. After all, this negative universe is just a post station for him, and he will eventually leave alone. He whipped a famous horse because he was drunk, fearing that his love would tire the beauty. The ancients did not deceive me. Although Owen's injury was only an external injury, and because of his level 3 enhanced endurance, he was completely fine at this time, but Owen still chose to stay in the hospital overnight. First of all, this was the good intention of the police chief for show, and he, as a subordinate, must appreciate it. Secondly, he also wanted to see what the St. Juliana Hospital in the night in this real-life movie looks like. It was night. The lights were on. "Hey, Nanase-chan, aren't you going to get off work?" Owen looked at Nanase Kyoko in surprise. Nurses work in shifts, divided into day shift and night shift. Nanase Kyoko had just worked the day shift, so theoretically, she should be off work. "Officer Lee, I'm the full-time nurse assigned to you by the dean, and I have to take care of you 24 hours a day," Nanase Kyoko said with a smile. "And because I'm your full-time nurse, I have enough time to rest during the day, and the same is true at night." "I see," Owen suddenly realized. In fact, if you calculate it this way, Nanase Kyoko's rest time is much more abundant than before, because she is only responsible for Owen, and Owen has nothing to bother her with. If she wants to rest in her free time, she can rest at the nurse rest station in the hospital. Of course, the premise is that you must meet a patient like Owen who is easy to take care of, otherwise it will be a big trouble. "Officer Lee, is there anything I can do for you?" Nanase Kyoko asked. "Well," Owen smiled and said, "really PS, thank you for the reward from Endless Zero Chenjin." Chapter 111 Overpass in the Hospital. St. Juliana Hospital. Nightfall. "Thank you, Nanase-chan." Owen took the laptop and thanked him. "It's Kyoko's duty to serve Officer Lee," Nanase Kyoko said with a smile. "Officer Lee, do you need anything else?" "Nothing for now." Owen shook his head as he turned on the computer. After Nanase Kyoko left, Owen quickly operated the computer and searched for a lot of information and professional knowledge about racing. 5 hours later, 1 o'clock in the morning, Owen pushed the computer away, got up from the bed, and moved his body to get rid of the fatigue caused by long-term inactivity. Fortunately, his physical fitness is now close to the limit of human beings. After a little relaxation, his body recovered. Unlike in the previous life, when he was coding, not only did he not make money, but he also had various occupational diseases, especially his waist and back, which were very sore. In the past, he could sit there for several hours while playing games, and there was no problem. After coding for a while, if I don't move for half an hour, my waist and back will immediately feel uncomfortable. If I stay for a longer time, the pain is simply indescribable. Thinking about it this way, it's really unfair for me to be cursed by readers. This thought suddenly emerged in Owen's mind. In the previous life, those big and small gods who were able to make money were scolded by readers for not working hard, which was excusable. I, a loser who can't even make a living full time, was raised to death by readers. It's pitiful enough. I was even cursed by graves dug after my death. This is a bit too much. Thinking of this, Owen felt very self-pitying. He picked up his mobile phone and searched for a certain point. Sure enough, it was worthy of being the first holy place in the universe. It existed in all time and space. He recharged all the money in his bank card and then rewarded every loser author one by one. After all the money was rewarded, Owen finally understood and put away his phone. What he didn't know was that his action inadvertently inspired countless authors who failed to write. Although a reward was insignificant, the encouragement it brought was full of positive energy for these authors. After that, excellent works emerged in an endless stream, and readers fell into the happy trouble of not having enough time. Now I have almost mastered all the theoretical knowledge, and the only thing left is practice. As Owen walked out, he pondered in his heart, it's time to reproduce the style of the Wolf of Wall Street. Yes, in just 5 hours, Owen mastered all the theoretical knowledge of racing. He was confident that with a little practice, he could become a top racing driver, and not only limited to driving skills, but also modification technology. This seems a bit exaggerated, but it's not at all. Those real top racing drivers, in fact, are not intelligent enough to reach the genius level of LV5. At most, they are talented at LV4, but this talent is biased towards mechanics. Even the driving skills and modification techniques that they can master, with Owen's current intelligence of LV5+, how could he not master them? Even Sheldon, who is blind to cars, actually knows much more about the structure and data of cars than ordinary people. The reason why he is so weak and can't drive is just because he is really a coward who has been chased by chickens since he was a child. Because it was 1 o'clock in the morning, St. Juliana Hospital was particularly quiet, unlike the hustle and bustle of the day. Owen walked out of the ward and saw the night nurse on duty at the nurse station not far away, dozing off there. He wanted to see the real St. Juliana Hospital at night, so he smiled and walked along the corridor. The hospital corridor is very long. Owen paced silently, for fear of disturbing the indescribable scene. Of course, it is also possible that he would add more excitement to the indescribable scene. Kyoko-chan, I particularly admire your nursing level and professionalism. Tomorrow I will ask Isaro to transfer you to me. You will follow me in the future. How about it? Dr. Kato, please don't do this. I have a boyfriend. Owen was shocked and walked over quickly. At the corner, a doctor in a white coat stood with his back to Owen, one hand on the wall, blocking Nana's Kyoko there with the classic wall dong of a domineering president. It's okay. How could Kyoko-chan be so cute without a boyfriend? But Kyoko-chan's boyfriend shouldn't mind Kyoko-chan having a better career, right? No. Kyoko just wants to be a nurse. She has no other ideas. Please, Dr. Kato, get out of the way, okay? Kyoko-chan, are you rejecting me? Yes. Nana's Kyoko's originally weak voice suddenly became firm. Perhaps she thought of her beloved boyfriend Naoya, and suddenly raised her head with a firm face. Dr. Kato sneered, I heard that your boyfriend is a new racing driver and wants to become a professional racing driver? Yes. Nana's Kyoko nodded, and then said in a panic, how did you know? Kyoko-chan is the lab assistant I've chosen, so I naturally have to know everything about Kyoko-chan. Dr. Kato smiled evilly, I heard that your boyfriend is obsessed with racing, and regards racing, and the glory of racing above everything else, right? What do you want to say? Nana's Kyoko said in a trembling voice. Do you know? Dr. Kato leaned closer to him. In addition to being a doctor, I'm also a top racing driver, a legendary veteran and driver. The power behind me has the final say in the racing world. With just one word from me, your boyfriend will say goodbye to the racing car that he regards as his life. Do you want to see this happen? Owen was speechless when he heard this, but he also understood why Nana's Kyoko trembled and dared not respond. In the island country, the class solidification is unprecedented, and only the cosmic superpower next door can completely defeat it. If what Dr. Kato said is true, then the other party's words can indeed completely destroy Nana's Kyoko's boyfriend's career. The reality is so cruel. Of course you have another choice. Dr. Kato obviously did not do this for the first time. After the threat, he skillfully cut into the temptation. Promise me, I will not only help Naoya become a professional racing driver, but also teach him my unique skills, so that he can realize his dream, and become a top racing driver. And as long as you don't say it, and I don't say it, he won't know at all, and you are still a loving boyfriend and girlfriend. Isn't this the best choice? Unless you don't love him enough. No. I love Naoya. Nana's Kyoko shouted in pain. Very good. Dr. Kato reached out and stroked Nanae Skyokko's hair and smiled evilly. In this case, you should know how to choose, right? Nanae Skyokko was confused, not wanting to agree, but not daring to refuse. She was panicked and helpless, like a small animal trembling in the dark shadow. I don't agree. At this moment, a voice came, which startled both Dr. Kato and Nanae Skyokko. Officer Lee. Nanae Skyokko shouted in surprise. Dr. Kato froze all over, and without turning his head, he wanted to leave quickly. Did I say you can leave? Owen smiled faintly. Besides, can you run away from the monk in the temple, Dr. Kato Ryuji? Dr. Kato paused, and after a moment of silence, he slowly turned around. It's you. Owen narrowed his eyes and sneered. What a good old driver. Very good. Very good. Chapter 112. Don't be cowardly, just do it. St. Juliana Hospital. Put your hands up, hold your head, and lie on the ground. When Owen saw Kato Ryuji's face, he immediately recognized that the other party was the driver of the yellow Mitsubishi Eclipse that knocked him over before. The other party's behavior also verified his guess, so Owen shouted without hesitation. Officer, I don't know what you are talking about. Kato Ryuji stood there calmly, motionless, with a flash of mockery in his eyes. But I want to remind you that this is a hospital. I'm a medical expert specially invited by the hospital. You don't have any evidence to frame me. I can sue you for defamation. Believe me, this is definitely not the result you want to see. Officer Lee. Nanae Skyokko trembled all over when she heard this and wanted to remind Owen. Owen's eyes condensed, knowing that the other party was threatening him, and guessed the trouble he would encounter later. But he, a systematic hacker, would be afraid of a native old driver? Don't be kidding. Don't be timid, just do it. Raise your hands, hold your head, and lie on the ground. Owen squeezed his hands, his bones creaked, and he strode towards Kato Ryuji. If the other party dared to resist, his LV2 plus strength, LV2 plus speed, LV3 endurance, and LV4 combat skills would let the other party know why the flowers are so red. Arsehole. Kato Ryuji gritted his teeth and cursed inwardly at Owen's undisguised provocative gaze. After weighing the pros and cons, he still humiliated himself and followed Owen's instructions, holding his head with his hands and lying on the ground. I will definitely make you pay the price. Definitely. Owen's actions were very brutal, and there was obviously suspicion of violence, force, and law. Kato Ryuji's head was pressed heavily to the ground by Owen's hands, and half of his face was tightly pressed against the ground. From this direction, looking up at Nanae Skyokko, who was looking at Owen with worry and admiration, Kato Ryuji's inner humiliation was about to explode in a minute. I'm waiting. Since Owen chose Lang, he naturally would not lose to the opponent in momentum. He pinched the opponent's neck and lifted him up like a chicken. Nanae-chan, I'll take this bastard back to the police station first. Seeing Nanae Skyokko's eyes full of worry, Owen's heart moved, and he reminded her, don't be fooled by this old pervert. Even if he really has a way to threaten Naoya's career, as long as you truly love each other, Naoya can lose you. Even if he loses the racing car, and he can still start another career again. On the contrary, once you fall into his trap for Naoya and succumb to him, not only will your love with Naoya end, but you and Naoya will be in endless pain for the rest of your life. Believe me, you definitely don't want to live that kind of life with Naoya. So, no matter how this old pervert coerces and tempts you, don't agree, and don't sacrifice yourself for love. That is not dedication at all, but another kind of irreparable harm. Of course, if you don't really believe this, and insist on sacrificing everything for Naoya's so-called career, then I would rather you come to me. Everything that the old pervert can do, I can do too. Officer Lee. Nanae Skyokko was sometimes pale and sometimes blushed by Owen's words, but her pure eyes were full of emotion. Although she was very silly and naive, she could feel Owen's heartfelt concern, and at the same time she was ashamed of her indecision. If Owen hadn't appeared in time, she would probably choose to succumb, because she really loved Naoya. In this magical island country with extremely developed tertiary industry, more and more young girls come out to work early, providing people, lipsticks, and profits for the great cause of the island country. Therefore, in Nana's Kayoko's consciousness, it is not completely unacceptable to dedicate everything for love. But after Rowan's reminder, she was horrified. If Kato Ryuji lied to her and told Naoya about this afterwards, it would cause serious harm to Naoya, which might be more painful than losing his racing career. Thank you for your reminder. Kayoko knows what to do. With these thoughts flashing through her mind, Kayoko Nanase's eyes became firm, and she sincerely thanked Owen. If there really comes such a day, Kayoko will definitely come to you. In her opinion, Owen said this because he was afraid that she would do something stupid. He was really considerate and a really good person. Damn it. Kato Ryuji saw that Owen easily gained Nana's Kayoko's favor and promise with just a few words, which seriously interfered with his plan of coercion and inducement, and his eyes were about to burst into anger. This is not the world of anime. Even if he is quite powerful, it is not easy to use force directly. The prey that has already been in hand is now flying into the sky. If you want to hunt it again, the difficulty has increased countless times. You are dead. Kato Ryuji's eyes flashed with murderous intent. In an exquisite apartment. What? Ryuji was arrested by Officer Lee. The Officer Lee who was recuperating in our hospital? On what charge? Okay, I got it. Jinguji Sora, who was wearing a bathrobe, hung up the phone, got up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the dimly lit rigging in the night, her eyes flickering. The delicate curves vaguely emerging in the French window caught her eyes, and some past events emerged in her mind. She couldn't help but tremble, her legs softened, and she fell to her knees, gasping for breath. After a while, Jinguji Sora sighed, struggled to get up, came to the bed, picked up the mobile phone on the bedside table, looked through the address book, and stopped in front of the name of a big shot. He smiled bitterly, then restrained his emotions several times, forced a smile, and dialed the number. Sorry to bother you. Police station. Owen, are you sure it was him? The leader of the Mitsubishi Eclipse Racing Task Force looked at Kato Ryuji sitting quietly in the interrogation room through the one-way glass, and asked with a frown. Sure. Owen said with certainty. When the car overturned, my car window was pressed against his, and I saw it clearly. And when I ran into him in the hospital just now, he obviously recognized me, and wanted to escape without saying a word. Escape? The leader of the task force was shocked. If this was true, then it was basically certain that the other party was a speeding criminal. Asshole, I must avenge Matsushita-kun. Zyanalin, you immediately take people to search the suspect's address, find the vehicle that caused the accident and other evidence of the crime. Yes, leader. Because it involves the casualties of their own people, the members of the task force are all elite soldiers, and are very decisive in giving orders. Ding-ling-ling. At this time, the phone of the leader of the task force rang. Director, yes, I understand, yes. After the leader of the task force hung up the phone, he ordered with a grim face, cancel the operation. Release Kato Ryuji. Owen grinned and secretly complained, trouble is really here. P.S. Thank you for the reward from I Want My Tears to Flow and Meow Dirty King 23,333. In addition, what is the difference between TV series and movies? Length. When movies are serialized and set in the universe, is there any difference between them and TV series? Of course there is. Serialized and movie universe movies are better made, with more compact plots, more vivid characters, and much better appearance than ordinary TV series. They can be called high-quality TV series. In contrast, if each episode of a TV series is filmed with greater investment, it will be a series of movies, such as Game of Thrones. So there should be nothing wrong with the European and American movie universe American TV series, right? Chapter 113 I Have Money. Ridging Police Station. Captain, what did the chief say about my testimony? Owen asked tentatively. Mr. Lee, let's send this matter here. The head of the task force was a little depressed inside. The director said that you were hit and on the verge of coma at the time. What you saw might be an illusion and cannot be used as evidence. Let us look for the perpetrator again. And at this point, the head of the task force looked at Owen with a trace of pity. The director said that in view of the fact that you may be a little confused, he will ask you to suspend your work and recuperate first. When you are well, you can return to work. Owen chuckled. Can I say that I'm not surprised at all? Mr. Lee, don't be discouraged. The head of the task force wanted to pat Owen on the shoulder, but found that he was not tall enough, and standing on tiptoe was really not in line with his identity, so he withdrew his hand and comforted him in a gentle voice. Actually, we all know what happened, but some people are not someone we can touch. Your result is already very good. If you hadn't been injured on duty before, and commended by the whole department, do you think you could be suspended and recuperate? I understand. Owen replied lightly. While the two were talking, a man who looked like a lawyer, led by a police officer, came over, negotiated with the head of the task force, and released Kato Ryuji. I told you that you can't do anything to me. Kato Ryuji walked in front of Owen and said with a cold smile, Officer Lee, don't be impatient. The fun has just begun. You must wait and see. I'm waiting. Owen retorted without showing any weakness. Drive Kato. The dean has ordered us to go back as soon as possible. The full-time lawyer of St. Juliana Hospital reminded. HMPH. Kato Ryuji snorted in dissatisfaction and intentionally or unintentionally scolded in front of everyone. Why didn't Jinkan come to pick me up in person? The lawyer was startled, and his eyes looking at Kato Ryuji suddenly changed. He replied with awe. The dean went to visit some important people to protest against the innocent detention of Dr. Kato by the police station, so he couldn't come to pick you up in person. Kato Ryuji's face changed, and a complex and incomprehensible look flashed in his eyes. He snorted in dissatisfaction, and no longer mentioned the matter. He sneered at Owen again, and then swaggered away. What a bastard. The head of the special task force looked at Kato's back as he left, and cursed angrily. He is just a bastard who lives on women, and he has the nerve to be arrogant. I don't know what kind of drug Dean Jinguji took to be so determined to this guy, and even for him. Speaking of this, the head of the special task force subconsciously stopped and swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth, but the amount of information in it was enough for Owen to figure out. It seems that, if we want to punish this Kato Ryuji, we must first deal with Jinguji Sora. The next day, when the police officers came to work, they looked at Owen who was packing his things there with sympathy. Obviously, the news of Owen's suspension had spread throughout the entire Jingjing police department. They knew who was right and who was wrong, but due to the strict hierarchy of the island country, they dared not say anything to support him. Xianlin, can you lend me some money? Owen smiled at the police officer next to him. All his money was rewarded. If he wanted to become the Wolf of Wall Street, he must have startup capital. Of course. Officer Xianlin was stunned, but then he agreed. He quickly operated his mobile phone and generously lent Owen his 3 months' salary. This was more or less the reason why Owen was innocently suspended, but he regretted it later. Owen, what are you doing? Stock trading. Hearing Owen's as it is a day answer, Officer Xianlin's mouth twitched. Just when he was about to persuade Owen, he found that Owen had skillfully bought all his money into a stock. Owen, stock trading is risky. You need to be cautious when entering the market. Officer Xianlin said speechlessly, and even if you want to trade stocks, you shouldn't choose Lensbank. Don't you see that all the stocks in the market are rising, but Lensbank is like a chicken plague, falling non-stop. How could this happen? But before Officer Xianlin finished speaking, a red line appeared in front of him. It was the green Lensbank just now. Green falls and red rises. This is basic common sense. This is a banker absorbing chips and releasing goods to accumulate funds. It is the same for its Meg Finance, Zishan Consulting, and Shianki Insurance. The banker has chips, so it will naturally push it up all the way. Now it is covering its positions. Isn't it going to explode immediately? Owen said nonsense seriously. Really? Officer Xianlin has come over, staring at the rising red line, and said in shock, Owen, do you know stocks? A little bit. Owen smiled reservedly. What are you looking at? A colleague heard the noise and came over. Then more and more people gathered to watch Owen's stock trading. Seeing the stocks selected by Owen, all kinds of red rose, and waves of exclamations came one after another. It's up again. Oh my god. How many times has it increased? Is Owen a stock god? It's increased 5 times. Everyone took a breath of cold air. In just over an hour, There was a five-fold profit. This was simply too shocking, and after the shock, there was an uncontrollable impulse. Owen, I have a little money. Can I let you do it together, to earn some money for my son's milk powder? Count me in. I want to earn some money for my wife's cosmetics. Count me in too. Sure. Owen raised his lips, looked around at everyone, and said generously, anyone who wants to make a little money can join, but stock trading is risky. You need to be cautious when entering the market. There is no such thing as only making money without losing money, so you have to think it over. Think it over. Think it over. The stock market is the biggest casino. When the police officers who have seen Owen's magic operation have already had their heads buzzing, their eyes are full of small money, and they can't listen to warnings. They all said they would follow up. When they transferred their money to Owen one by one, they looked at each other and smiled awkwardly, because if this money was just their small change, then what kind of police officers would they be? Fortunately, Owen had done it on purpose, and would not let them down. When the stock market closed at 10 AM, everyone blushed and shouted, "Why stop? Keep going." Okay, colleagues, I'm going to go back and rest. I'll share my stock trading experience with you when I have the chance. Owen reminded them appropriately. What he wanted was to lead everyone by the nose and make them his helpers, rather than being controlled by everyone and becoming their money-making machine. Profits move people's hearts. He has a financial mathematical model, which is equivalent to having money power, and money power is omnipotent. P.S. Thank you for the reward from guest 01. Chapter 114 The Secret That Cannot Be Told. St. Juliana Hospital. Director's Office. When Jinguji Sora dragged her tired body and pushed open the door, she found Kato Ryuji sitting on the office chair with a gloomy face. He said to her coldly, "You are finally back. Are you okay?" Jinguji Sora closed the door. Although her voice was cold, it could not hide her concern. "I'm not good. Very bad." Kato Ryuji said angrily, "I was bullied by that bastard, but you just suspended that bastard? Is this the result of your hard work all night? Humph. Bitch." Jinguji Sora's face first turned red, and then pale, and she said sadly, "Kato Ryuji, don't go too far. Why should I be a bastard? I'm just trying to clean up your ass. Do you think this is a trivial matter? You hit and killed a policeman. If it weren't for my endless requests, do you think you could get away with it so easily? Suspending that police officer is already the best result. What else do you want me to do? Humph." Kato Ryuji's arrogance stagnated. Of course he understood the current situation, but he was unhappy that Owen was safe and sound. This could not eliminate the resentment in his heart. "Bitch, hurry up and crawl over here." Jinguji Sora was stunned. Seeing Kato Ryuji stretch out his magical surgical hand that was comparable to that of a great doctor and pointing at her, her whole body trembled and her pretty face turned red and blue. After a long stalemate, she finally knelt down. The phone in the dean's office rang again and again, but no one answered. After a long wait of 1.5 hours, the caller obviously had something urgent and held on for another minute. The call was finally connected. Jinguji Sora gave a few brief instructions and hung up. "Ryuji, don't get into trouble again during this period, otherwise this problem will be unsolvable." Sora Jinguji curled up on the sofa, with unmelted love in her eyes, and reminded with concern, even if you really can't let go of your hatred for Officer Lee, you have to wait until the storm is over, and I will help you find a way. HMPH. That's more like it. Ryuji Kato patted Sora Jinguji's head, like he was patting a pet, with a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. "I can wait, but I want him dead by then." "I know." Sora Jinguji closed his eyes, was silent for a while, and responded in a low voice. "One more thing." Kato Ryuji narrowed his eyes. "Transfer Nana's Kyoko to me as an experimental assistant." "No." Jinguji Sora opened her eyes and refused unhappily. "You already have an experimental assistant. If it really doesn't work, I can also be your experimental assistant." "You?" Kato Ryuji sneered. "What I need is a brand new experimental product. This is also what Lord Watanabe wants. Do you dare to refuse?" Jinguji Sora trembled all over, and her heart was full of grievances and grief. She wanted to yell at Kato, but was dispersed by all kinds of strange feelings in her body. In the end, she just remained silent. This is good. Kato Ryuji knew that Jinguji Sora had acquiesced and smiled with satisfaction. In a restaurant. Officer Lee, this is my boyfriend, Naoya Fukada. Naoya, this is the Officer Lee I told you about. Nana's Kyoko smiled and introduced the two. Hello, Officer Lee. I'm Naoya Fukada. Thank you for taking care of Kyoko. Naoya is very grateful. Naoya Fukada bowed solemnly to express his gratitude. You're welcome. Owen looked at the other person and saw that he was a handsome and sunny boy. He nodded slightly and said, Naoya, you and Kyoko can call me Owen. Yes, we will be good friends in the future, so let's call each other by our names. Kyoko Nane said excitedly. Okay, Owen, thank you again for everything you have done for Kyoko. Naoya Fukada said with a look of fear on his face. Kyoko told me, you are right, the racing career is indeed very important to me, but Kyoko is more important to me. If I have to choose between the two, I will only choose Kyoko. Naoya Kyoko Nanace looked at Naoya Fukada with tears in her eyes. Ahem. Owen's mouth twitched. He was really caught off guard by this dog food. I was moved by Kyoko-chan's sincere feelings for Naoya. Otherwise, Kyoko-chan is so beautiful and cute. I would definitely pursue her. Nana's Kyoko giggled. Lee, no, Owen, you just tease me. But if you want to find a girlfriend, I have a good candidate. Oh. Owen smiled indifferently. Kyoko-chan can be my matchmaker, but if she is not as pretty and cute as you, I will not agree to it. Kiko is much prettier and cuter than Kyoko. Nanace pushed Naoya Fukada. Isn't that right, Naoya? Kyoko, are you talking about Kitagawa Kiko? Naoya Fukada hesitated and said, of course she is also very beautiful, but she seems to be still in high school. Yes, she is indeed in the 3rd year of high school, but she is already an adult. Nanace explained, she likes racing the most, so her grades are not very good, and she has been held back a grade. She has not graduated yet, but she is a good girl. Owen, you will definitely like her when you meet her. Oh, I'd like to meet her if I have the chance. Owen agreed casually and looked at Naoya Fukada. Naoya, I heard that you are a racing driver. Can you teach me? I was knocked over by the perpetrator while performing official duties before. Now I want to learn more about racing. It would be best if you could teach me some racing skills and experience. Is that so? Sure. Naoya Fukada was slightly startled, then readily agreed and suggested, I just happen to be going to practice driving later, so let's go and have a look together. Racing is not that difficult, but it's not that simple. You have to try it yourself to understand the skills. Then please. Driving range. Owen sat in the co-pilot seat, watching Naoya Fukada's operation and listening to his explanation. Although some small details made up for Owen's shortcomings, Naoya Fukada's understanding of racing was far inferior to Owen. After driving a few laps, Owen smiled and suggested, after listening to what you said, Naoya, I really got an epiphany. Can I try it? Of course. Naoya and Owen exchanged seats and reminded him of some details. Owen nodded and smiled, stepped on the clutch with his left foot, quickly shifted to second gear, stepped on the brake with the tip of his right foot, and slammed the accelerator with the heel of his right foot. Buzz buzz buzz. As the accelerator speed reached 4000 rpm, the tires spun at high speed, but still stayed in place, making a buzzing roar. Burning tires in place. Naoya Fukada looked at Owen in surprise. This classic racing start mode is difficult to do in one go if you are not a racing driver. And looking at Owen's stability, he is definitely an experienced driver. Chapter 115 The Talented Car God. Driving range. Buzz buzz buzz. Before the curve, Owen pulled the handbrake with one hand and quickly turned the steering wheel with the other hand, drifting and swinging through the curve. Naoya Fukada, who was sitting in the passenger seat, was surprised and praised. Beautiful. You are still a little unfamiliar. Owen was not satisfied with this drift operation. There was another curve, but Owen did not seem to slow down. Fukada Naoya was so scared that he kept shouting, slow down, slow down. I know. Owen said this, but he did not do it at all. It was still the classic routine of handbrake, steering wheel, and throttle. This time, because he did not slow down in advance, the angle of the swing seemed very large, and it looked like he was going to flip over, but he drifted through the curve steadily. You're really crazy. Naoya Fukuda looked at Owen strangely and murmured, but you are a talented driver. My god, your drifting level just now is far better than mine. Are you sure this is your first time drifting? I'm sure. Owen continued to drive and explained with a smile, maybe I have some talent. A little talent? Naoya Fukuda looked at Owen's increasingly skilled driving skills and took a deep breath. This is definitely the top racing talent. But for drifting like just now, you still have to try to slow down in advance, otherwise it's easy to roll over. Don't worry. Owen smiled confidently. The friction coefficient between the tire and the road, the speed of the car, the braking force, the throttle size, the angle of the front wheels, the weight distribution of the car, the wheelbase, the hardness of the suspension and other related data. I have calculated them in advance. Mathematics tells me that there is no problem drifting through the corners at the speed just now. Naoya Fukuda was stunned, and after a long while he stammered and asked, are you kidding? You said you can use mathematics to calculate at what speed you can drift through a corner without rolling over? Of course. Owen smiled. It's very simple. You just need to build a mathematical model and then substitute all the relevant parameters, and then you can draw a conclusion. Mathematical results will not lie. Can you teach me? Fukuda Naoya looked at Owen expectantly. He didn't understand any mathematical model, but how to drift perfectly at the most appropriate speed is definitely the unique skill of the top racers. Of course. Owen raised his lips. But how about your mental arithmetic ability? What? Fukuda Naoya had a question mark on his forehead. Owen explained, look, among the various relevant influencing factors, the weight distribution, wheelbase, and suspension hardness are all determined in advance. However, the friction coefficient changes caused by different road surfaces and tire wear, and the changes in the cornering angle, caused by the presence or absence of other racing cars blocking the road, all of these are random changes. You must calculate the answer in your mind instantly, based on these changes, to adjust the optimal braking force, throttle size, and front wheel angle. So if you want to drift through corners with my method, you must have mental arithmetic capabilities that surpass computers. So how about your mental arithmetic capabilities? Naoya Fukuda finally understood, and then said with a bitter and confused face, if I had such a strong mental arithmetic ability, I probably wouldn't have become a racing car owner, and I would have become a mathematician long ago. Does racing require such powerful mathematical calculation capabilities now? Of course not. Owen comforted. This is just my personal stupid method. Those real top racing drivers don't have to go through so much trouble at all. They can get the answer instantly, based on their feelings. Really? Naoya Fukuda has begun to doubt his life. It's true. Owen nodded affirmatively, but there was something in his mind that he didn't say, relying purely on feelings. Although most of them are very accurate, once there is a problem, it is a big problem. How can it be as reliable as mathematical calculations? As the practice continued, Owen's driving skills became stronger and stronger, so strong that Naoya Fukuda began to doubt whether he had the talent to continue. The talent for racing is related to reaction speed, spatial perception, dynamic vision, psychological quality, etc. Reaction speed. Owen has a speed attribute of LV2+. In the God of Cars universe without superpowers, this is the ultimate reaction speed of a racer. Spatial sense. This is related to whether the spirit is strong or not. The stronger the spirit, the better the spatial sense. To explain it with the Eastern fairy tales or the Western superpower fantasy, when the spirit is strong to a certain extent, it can be released to explore everything around it. Of course, there are examples in conventional physics. Take Sheldon as an example. His LV5+ super intelligence supports his strong spatial imagination ability. The 3D chess he plays, the multi-dimensional space theory he constructed, and the string theory he verified are all proofs. Owen's LV5+ intelligence is absolutely a unique superspatial talent in the racing world. Dynamic vision. This is related to reaction speed and spatial sense. Take Fujiwara Takumi in Initial D. For a while, he became very strange when looking at things while driving. It seemed that everything outside seemed to be slower, but in fact, he became faster. This interlaced feeling of fast and slow is actually dynamic vision. Therefore, Owen, who is absolutely the first in reaction speed and spatial sense, is also the first in dynamic vision. These things are more like the hardware of talent, and the mental quality when racing is the software of talent. After all, racing is a high-speed sport. If there is a slight accident, the car will be destroyed, and people will die. Therefore, every top racing driver must have a strong psychological quality. A weak chicken like Sheldon who is so timid that he is chased by chickens everywhere. No matter how talented he is, he still can't drive a car. Owen's endurance is enhanced level 3. Although it has not reached the level 4 renewable, it also provides Owen with strong protection. The probability of surviving after a rollover is much stronger than others. Moreover, he has long been an old driver, so how could his mental quality be bad? In addition, Owen has strong mathematical calculation ability. As long as Owen becomes proficient and matches the right car, who is Owen, if not the god of driving? St. Juliana Hospital. Kyoko, the head nurse asked me to inform you that you have been transferred to be an assistant to Dr. Kato. What? Nana's Kyoko was struck by lightning. The nurse who notified her looked at her strangely, repeated it once, and left. Kyoko, what do you think of my suggestion? Kato Ryuji appeared from somewhere, with a wicked smile on his face. As long as you agree, I will teach my racing skills to Naoya, and then his career will be able to reach a high level. No. Nana's Kyoko shouted, no need. Naoya has Professor Irving. His driving skills must be better than yours. Owen Lee. Kato Ryuji was stunned, then laughed. He is better than me. Ha ha ha. Interesting. It seems I need to show you who is the real veteran driver. P.S. Thanks to Guest01 for the reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116. Drifting in Hot Beijing. Riching. On the street, an underground parking lot. Because of the high population density, parking lots are basically built underground, and Ridging has one of the highest car ownership in the world, so most of the underground parking lots are built as deep as the underground base, spiraling up layer by layer. This special structure is very suitable for racing drift, and it is a paradise for racing enthusiasts. There are racing parties almost every night, and it is very popular. Owen, don't reveal your identity as a policeman after entering, otherwise it will be very troublesome. Fukuda Naoya is a racing driver. Although he pursues a professional path, the racing circle is narrow. He is basically familiar with the big and small things in the circle. Naturally, he knows where the underground racing field is. At Owen's request, he brought Owen here with a bitter face. I know, don't worry, I'm not here as a policeman this time, but as a racing driver. Owen comforted. That's the best. Naoya Fukuda breathed a sigh of relief, but couldn't help but remind him, the organizer here is called DK, known as the king of drifting and Ridging. His uncle has a deep underworld background, so don't be impulsive. DK. Owen was startled, and the corners of his mouth curled up. It turned out to be him. The car slowly drove in. It was very lively inside, with all kinds of racing cars gathered. Of course, there were hot beauties next to the racing cars. The hoods of many racing cars were opened, revealing the engines and other components inside, either to show off, or to let people check the problems. Naoya, this way. A pure beauty was holding a computer, and checking the problems of the racing car. She looked up, and saw Naoya Fukuda's racing car coming in, and waved and greeted him. Kiko. Naoya Fukuda lowered the window and greeted the other party, then got out of the car with Owen and introduced them to each other. This is Kiko Katagawa. Kiko, this is Owen Lee, a good friend of Kyoko and me. Hello. Kiko Katagawa looked at Owen carefully, obviously having heard of Owen's name from Kyoko and Ace. Hello. Owen smiled sincerely. He had already recognized who the other party was. As the supporting actress in the Fast and Furious 3, she was far better than the heroine, and it really made many people, including Owen, brighten up. I heard that you are very good at racing. Are you here to participate in the drift race as well? Owen's appearance and temperament were impeccable, so Kiko Kitagawa naturally talked more. Yes, Owen said with a smile. I heard from Kyoko that you like racing very much and know a lot about racing. I'm assembling my own racing car. Can you help me if you have a chance? Okay. Kiko Kitagawa agreed immediately. This is a bit like a blind date. Just like a blind date, if one party doesn't like the other party, it will be an awkward conversation. If the two parties are attracted to each other, they will hit it off and have a great time talking. Some of them are bolder and will have a deeper exchange after the show. Obviously, Owen and Kitagawa Kiko are the last type. But, just as everyone was talking, another racing car drove in quickly with a buzzing sound, and it made an emergency stop and spun around Owen, almost hitting him. A man wearing sunglasses got out of the car. Kato Ryuji. Officer Lee, we meet again. I heard that you are a great racer. I came here to ask for advice about your experience in overturning a car. Ha ha ha. Kato Ryuji provocatively said. Police. He is a policeman. Everyone panicked. Their underground racing is illegal, so they are naturally very sensitive to the police. Stop making noise. At this time, a man wearing a vest and showing his muscles shouted to stop the noise, walked over slowly, pointed at Owen and said pretentiously, are you a policeman? So what? Owen smiled calmly, can't the police participate in the racing here? Or do you only dare to race with your own people? TSK. RDK is the king of drifting and enriching. No one can beat him. DK, compete with him and make him lose convincingly. Yes, DK, beat him. When everyone saw DK come forward, they immediately gathered around and started to make a fuss. Well, let's have a race, and the loser will keep his car. DK looked around pretentiously and then said, okay. Owen nodded and agreed. Count me in. Kato Ryuji walked over and sneered, I want to show Kyoko who is the boss and driver. Okay. DK glanced at Kato Ryuji and nodded in agreement. Wow. When everyone heard about the competition, they cried out in awe. The race organizers had already cleared the field skillfully. Owen smiled at Naoya Fukuda and said, don't worry. If this car loses, I will compensate you with a better one. That's not what I meant. Naoya Fukuda smiled embarrassedly. A racing car is worth a lot of money, and coupled with the special feelings that racers have for their own cars, it's no wonder that Naoya Fukuda hesitated to speak. Bus. The three racing cars stopped precisely in front of the starting line, without a single error. A cool beauty walked to the middle and stretched out her hand to point at the three people one by one. The people pointed at stepped on the accelerator hard to remind themselves that they were ready. After 3 roars, the cool beauty untied the magic artifact and threw it into the air. But when the magic artifact landed, Owen was the first to fly out. How is it possible? Kato Ryuji's eyes narrowed, and while he was operating quickly, he shouted in his heart, how can he be so fast? Luck, it must be luck. The 3 cars roared and rushed, and Kato Ryuji and DK had a bleed-inducing experience. This was a track in an underground parking lot, which was very narrow, and could only accommodate 1 car in many places. Owen's car was far inferior to Th's in various performances, but because he was 1 step ahead, and then 1 step ahead, he was stuck in front of them until the finish line. The spectators who had been waiting on the street for a long time saw that Owen was the first to come out, and they looked at each other in bewilderment, not daring to cheer. Only Kitagawa Kiko and Fukuda Naoya cheered. Arsehole. Damn it. DK and Kato Ryuji cursed angrily, but in the underground racing world, reputation is very important. If you lose, you lose. Playing tricks will ruin your character, so DK can only bite his teeth and admit it. This track is not open at all. Do you have the courage to race with me on the mountain road in the suburbs? DK threw the key to Owen and issued a challenge. Not convinced. Owen saw that there was no system prompt, and then he realized that defeating the opponent still did not get negative points. He had to make the opponent convinced. At least he had to say in person, I surrender. You are the god of cars in Akina Mountain. Okay. Since you two are not convinced, don't go to any suburban mountain road competition. Now I formally invite you to participate in the Akina Mountain God of Cars competition. The time is 1 month later. Do you have the courage to participate? Kato Ryuji also issued a challenge. Akina Mountain God of Cars competition? DK's eyes lit up. Are you talking about the mysterious competition held by Senior Watanabe? Yes. Kato Ryuji smiled proudly. I'm the last Akina Mountain God of Cars. I'll participate. DK nodded heavily. I'll join too. Owen smiled. But I have a condition. If you lose, I want you to say in person, I surrender. You are the God of Cars in Akina Mountain. Okay X2. One more thing. Owen looked at Kato Ryuji and made a request that made the other party's face change greatly. Chapter 117 Lightning Phantom. Driving range. Buzz buzz buzz. 3 sports cars drove in one after another. Owen, you are so disgusting. Kitagawa Kiko got out of the car and wrinkled her nose and said, how did you come up with such a disgusting request? After saying that, she couldn't hold it in anymore and started to giggle. What is disgusting to us is just a common thing for him. Recalling the scene when Kato Ryuji agreed with a sullen face and murderous eyes, Owen laughed in a good mood. Kitagawa Kiko shuddered all over and shouted in disbelief, is it true? There are many strange people in the island country. Kitagawa Kiko's tolerance is still good, but it definitely does not include Owen's request. What does it matter if it is true or not? Owen raised the corner of his mouth. When I win, the fake will become real. Are you really sure? Kitagawa Kiko looked at Owen with some strangeness. As a member of the underground world and an island girl, it is impossible for her to be untainted. Although she looks pure in an oriental way, she is completely unrestrained in the western way. She has long been moved by Owen's heroic appearance, and there are countless hormones in her body that need to be balanced. Of course. Owen smiled confidently. I will win this battle. Well, I believe you. Kitagawa Kiko murmured with hazy eyes. For this kind of eyes, the old driver Owen is too familiar. With a move in his heart, he coughed lightly and said to the tactless Naoya Fukuda, Naoya, why don't you go back to see Kyoko-chan? According to what Kato Ryuji said, he has looked for Kyoko-chan again. Yes. Naoya Fukuda was shocked, nodded repeatedly, said something to Owen, drove the racing car, and left in a flash. Kiko, accompany me to see the racing car I'm assembling. Owen smiled meaningfully. Okay, I was just thinking about how much horsepower your engine has, Owen. Kitagawa Kiko smiled, her sweet smile mixed with charm and enchantment, which made people respect her. Owen said with a double meaning, RB 3.0L inline 6-cylinder engine, 1000 horsepower extreme modification, can reach a terrifying 1638 horsepower, guaranteed to satisfy you. Humph. You men only like to pursue the maximum horsepower in your racing cars. Kitagawa Kiko snorted. It's not just us men who pursue the highest horsepower in racing cars, right? Owen smiled meaningfully. Don't women like high horsepower racing cars? I'm afraid they like it more than men. They don't even consider the problem of excessive fuel consumption. They can't wait to step on the accelerator to the bottom and won't stop until all the diesel is exhausted. There is a reason why female drivers are called female devils. Kitagawa Kiko was amused by Owen's metaphor. She patted Owen lightly and got into Owen's car. Without even fastening her seatbelt, she urged, it's too late, start the car. Hold on. Owen stepped on the clutch and started in second gear. He stepped on the accelerator and drove Kitagawa Kiko wildly. Police station. Owen. Mr. Lee. After Owen came in, all the police officers along the way smiled warmly at him, as if they were welcoming a battle hero. He was more majestic than the director, and didn't look like he was suspended at all. This is the power and domineering power of money. Zyolin, show me the list of cars seized by the police station. Owen responded with a smile, found Officer Zyolin, and made a request. Okay. Zyolin did not say anything and called up the list of cars seized in the police station's internal system. Pictures of handsome cars appeared on the computer screen. After browsing through them, Owen compared them with his needs and pointed to 2 of the cars and said, I need this one and this one. Buy them in the form of an internal auction. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. Officer Zyolin smiled. This is all unspoken rules. The police station will seize a large number of illegal vehicles every year. Except for those with deep backgrounds who can get their own cars back, the others become the police station's gains and are given to police officers as bonuses after the auction. Of course, it is not uncommon for some police officers who like cars to buy them directly with money like Owen did. Owen, you finally came here once. Take us to play. At this time, many people have come over, and a thick-skinned police officer asked with a smile. Yes, Owen. As soon as this was said, everyone agreed in unison. Okay. Owen would naturally not refuse, but still reminded, you can only play for a while, otherwise it will affect your work, which will be bad. Yes, yes. Everyone agreed repeatedly, and then excitedly transferred the money to Owen one by one, watching Owen's magic operation. Owen's financial mathematical model is a skill of the academic master mode exchanged by the system. After Krypton Life 50 Years of Life and Inspiration Edition, the super mathematical model obtained can even be compared to the intelligent butler Jarvis of the Marvel Universe Iron Man to manipulate stocks, so it is naturally invincible. This is not an exaggeration. Owen himself has a super intelligence of up to LV5+, and his mental arithmetic ability is not inferior to that of a computer. When inspiration is added, the billions of neurons in his brain, which are far more complex than supercomputers, cheer and jump together under the nourishment of the flame burning at the life existence point. During that time, the financial mathematical model deduced by Owen's superbrain was definitely not inferior to the big data deduction simulation of super artificial intelligence Jarvis. After a magical operation, Owen drove away in a sports car, while everyone was still not satisfied. In a garage. Wow. Owen, you are a genius. Kitagawa Kiko bent over, lying on the hood, looking inside at the novel layout optimized by Owen. Even without testing, with her years of experience in modifying racing cars, she could feel that this optimized design was very reasonable and excellent. Can I drive it? Of course. No. Owen smiled. Why? Kitagawa Kiko shouted dissatisfiedly. It turns out that you can't drive a high-powered racing car at all, right? Owen joked. Kitagawa Kiko blushed and scolded. That was before. After you optimized the design of this new car, there was an extra exhaust hole at the back. I believe I can drive it. Are you sure? Owen became interested. As soon as he heard it, his eyes sparkled, and he was eager to try. A normal racing car only has 2 exhaust holes. Owen's optimized racing car has 1 more exhaust hole at the back, which is actually useless. It's just for show when accelerating and spitting fire. After Kitagawa Kiko nodded with a red face, Owen pressed the key and quickly got into the passenger seat. He shouted to Kitagawa Kiko, who was a little dazed, "What are you waiting for? Get in the car." Buzz buzz buzz. That night, many people vaguely saw a flash of lightning. Chapter 118 Car Thief. In a high-end apartment. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Jinguji Sora lazily got up, put on his pajamas, opened the door, and was stunned. Officer Lee. Excuse me, Dean Jinguji, I have something to consult. Is it convenient to go in and talk? Owen smiled politely. Jinguji Sora hesitated for a moment, and finally made way. Officer Lee, please come in. The two sat down on the sofa. Officer Lee, what do you want? Jinguji Sora asked with a twinkling look in his eyes. Owen admired Sora Jinguji's voluptuous and attractive curves, and said slowly, we all know the truth about Kato Ryuji. What I want to ask is, why did Dean Jinguji give so much for him? Is it really because of love? I don't know what you are talking about. Sora Jinguji's face changed, and he said coldly, as for the private affairs between Ryuji and me, there is no need to tell an outsider like you. If there is nothing else, please leave. No hurry. Owen smiled calmly. It's still early. Let's watch a movie first. I believe that after watching it, Dean Jinguji will have patience. What movie? A trace of panic flashed in Sora Jinguji's eyes, and he stood up and shouted, I don't want to watch it. Please leave. Are you sure? Owen raised the corner of his mouth. You are the heroine of the movie. Don't you want to see your own performance? Sora Jinguji's legs and feet went soft, and he slumped on the sofa, looking at Owen in horror, with a trace of despair in his eyes. Don't be nervous. Owen moved to Jinguji Sora's side, put his arm around her shoulders, and comforted her. Good fortune and bad fortune go hand in hand. In my opinion, this matter is definitely a blessing for you, not a curse. Come, let's watch a classic hot Beijing love movie together. As he spoke, he turned on his phone, and a video of 1.5 hours and 1 minute appeared on the screen. The first half hour was very eye-catching, which was the most common stage of extraordinary routines used by Japanese people. The last minute was a real essence. Where did you get it from? Jinguji Sora asked with a trembling face. Although I have been burning CDs before, I have worked in the id department after all, so this little hacker trick is not a problem. Owen felt the trembling of the beauty in his arms, and the corners of his mouth curled up and said, let's not talk about this first. Let's analyze the male and female protagonists from an objective perspective. First of all, one thing is certain, the male protagonist does not love the female protagonist at all. Don't you think so? Jinguji Sora was silent, but the sadness in her eyes still silently confirmed Owen's analysis. Very good. Owen continued to talk nonsense. Look at the heroine again. She seems to love the hero very much. She can even tolerate all these things. She is obedient and cooperative like a slave. But in my opinion, this is more like a disease. A man-made disease. Jinguji Sora trembled again. From a psychological point of view, when a person suffers an unprecedented shock, his concept will be unconsciously distorted and even form a weird behavior that ordinary people cannot understand. Owen smiled and said, this movie has been vividly demonstrated. Dean Jinguji, do you really love Kato Ryuji? Or is your body inseparable from him? What do you want? Jinguji Sora shouted weakly. Kato Ryuji is an old driver, and you have a car that he has been honing for a long time. I want to be a car thief. What do you think? Owen joked. Impossible. Jinguji Sora shook his head and said, you don't understand. I can't live without Ryuji. I guess you have heard that Ryuji Kato and I agreed to race in Akina Mountain. Owen smiled strangely. He thought he was sure to win, and even agreed to such a request. Of course, I also know that these verbal agreements are false. If he really doesn't admit it at that time, I can't do anything to him. So what I have to do now is to cut off the support behind him, so that he will have to admit it at that time. And I heard that you are the biggest support behind him, so I can only come to you, with your help, and race with Ryuji Kato in the air, to see who is the real veteran and driver. Don't say it's impossible. You can only know the result after you get in the car and try it. I believe you won't refuse, right? Do I have a choice? Jinguji Sora said woodenly. Of course. Owen smiled and said, the first option, I drive actively. The second option, you drive automatically. What is your choice? Seeing Jinguji Sora remain silent, Owen nodded and smiled. It seems that you have already made a choice. One day and one night later, in front of a brand new racing car. Who is this Watanabe? Owen asked lazily. He's an old bastard. Jinguji Sora swept away the numbness before, and his spirits were high. He cursed angrily. When he was young, he loved racing, and he was very perverted and lustful, just like Kato Ryuji, but he was born in a famous family, and his power and wealth made these things easy for him. Later, he had a big problem with his body, and couldn't do anything, but he still couldn't let go of his hobby of racing, so he organized the Akina Mountain Car God race to satisfy his eyes. When I was in college, Kato Ryuji and I were classmates. At that time, I didn't know that he was that kind of person. I was humiliated and abandoned by him. Later, I came to St. Juliana Hospital and met Watanabe. He was an old bastard and saw the difference in me at a glance. So he looked at me differently and promoted me to the position of dean. Kato Ryuji heard the news of my promotion, found me, and forced me to introduce Watanabe. In Kato Ryuji, Watanabe saw the shadow of himself when he was young, so he had a good impression of him. Like many weird old men in the island country, Watanabe was powerless, but still very perverted, so the contact between them has always been arranged by me. So that's how it is. Owen suddenly realized and pondered, if I defeat Ryuji Kato in the Akina Mountain Car God contest, do you think Watanabe will stand up for Ryuji Kato? If it was before, with my begging, Watanabe would most likely stand up for Kato Ryuji. But not now. Without my reminder, a big shot like him wouldn't have the time to care about a small shot like Kato. Sora Jinguji looked at Owen with eyes full of love, which far exceeded the love she had for Kato Ryuji before. This is the domineering and powerful aspect of skill 1 exchanged by the system. Very good. Owen raised the corners of his mouth. How about my car stealing skills? Amazing. Sora Jinguji murmured. Smash the glass, pull out the fuse, and manually ignite the car. No car can withstand your violent cracking. Not only that, Owen patted Sora Jinguji and reminded, I also modified and upgraded it. Now it's a smart car that can drive automatically. Didn't you notice? Buzz buzz buzz. Owen's answer was the roar of racing cars. P.S. Thanks to Promise of Death for the reward. Chapter 119. Oh, not bad. Akina Mountain. Located in Gunma Prefecture, an island nation, about 100 kilometers away from Hokkaido, it is famous for its 4 thrilling and steep 5-turn hairpin bends. Other bends are also everywhere, which can be called the 9 bends and 18 turns. It is a holy place for racing drift. Therefore, from time to time, racing enthusiasts gather here late at night to race. Brother Z, I heard that in this year's Akina Mountain Car God competition, Hokkaido has 2 more players besides the last Car God Kato Ryuji, and the remaining places are limited. A young man with a short haircut said. Yes, Brother Z, you are the boss among us amateur drivers, and the place must be counted for you. Someone next to him echoed. Haha. The person they called Brother Z was a handsome young man, leaning against a GTR 32 racing car, smiling slightly, but there was a hint of evil in his smile. If Owen were here, he would be able to say it in one sentence. This is the smile of an old driver, no less than that of Kato Ryuji. I don't care about the quota now, I just want to have another race with the A86 that beat me last night. I've always heard that there is a real car god driving in Akina Mountain late at night. I didn't believe it, but the A86 last night really amazed me. A86. The young man with the crew cut was stunned and said in disbelief, Brother Z, you said that the A86 beat your GTR 32. How is it possible? Nothing is impossible. Brother Z is obviously very confident in himself, so in front of his younger brothers, he does not shy away from his failure at all, and explained with a smile, although the performance of the cars is very different, this is Akina Mountain, and there are very few sections where you can drive at full speed. As long as the skills are good enough, it is not impossible for the AE86 to beat the GTR 32. That's true. The young man with the crew cut was stunned, nodded slightly and said, but apart from those top professional racing drivers, is there anyone here who is better than you, Brother Z? There are masters among the people. Brother Z raised his lips, whether it's photography, racing, or other things. Among so many unknown people in the people, there will always be 1 or 2 amazing people. And the other party is not a real master among the people. I went to find him. The owner of the car is Fujiwara Bunta, a genius racing driver 19 years ago. He was praised as the person who was most likely to become the first island country world racing champion. Unfortunately, he retired because of marriage. Hiss, everyone took a breath of cold air. Really? So amazing? I have sent an invitation. When he comes, you will know. Brother Z showed a smile that was eager to try. Inside a happy store. Bunta, you said that it was not you, but Takumi who outperformed GTR 32 with A86. Yes. A sloppy looking man with a cigarette in his mouth, who looked like a jerk, nodded and said, Takumi has been helping me with tofu all these years. His driving skills have surpassed mine. But if Takumi is really that good, why hasn't he said anything? The friend asked puzzledly. There is nothing to hide. When the owner of the GTR 32 came to our store to inquire yesterday, Takumi was also there. The owner asked Takumi, and Takumi said he didn't know. Fujiwara Bunta was stunned, and the cigarette in his mouth almost fell out. His face twitched. He didn't really understand it, but he vaguely guessed his son's pretentious mind. He had done this kind of thing when he was young, but he pretended to be more sophisticated, not as rough as his son Takumi. Will Takumi go tonight? Seeing this expression, the friend also guessed a little and quickly changed the subject. He will go. Fujiwara Bunta said pretentiously. The racing gene inherited from me has been stimulated in him. The racing god of Akina Mountain finally has a successor. It's worth all the years of quietly teaching him racing skills. Akina Mountain. Brother Z, there is an A86 going up the mountain. A reminder came from the intercom. Finally. Brother Z was shocked, and when Fujiwara Takumi drove in front of him, he was stunned. It's you. It's me. My dad asked me to race with you. Fujiwara Takumi wanted to pretend to be casual and free, but he always gave people a sense of embarrassment of deliberately pretending. Can you hurry up? I still have things to do after the race. Okay. Zyge raised his lips and got in the car. A beautiful woman walked to the middle line in front of the two cars. After the standard start routine, the two cars rushed out one after another. Zyge's GTR 32 took the lead, and Fujiwara Takumi's AE86 lagged behind by half a car body. They began to chase each other on Akina Mountain, performing speed and passion. Beautiful. There were people watching on the important ramps along the way. Seeing the two cars speeding, they were all amazed. No, there is another car coming. The younger brother in charge of keeping watch shouted on the intercom. Wow. So fast. He is chasing Zyge and the others. Is this the real Akina Mountain car god? What? Zyge heard the reminder and looked in the rear view mirror. His eyes shrank suddenly. He didn't know when a red racing car was chasing them quickly. Judging from its speed, considering the distance they were ahead and the special structure of Akina Mountain, the driving skills of the owner of this red racing car were really amazing. Fujiwara Takumi in the AE86 originally held the steering wheel with his left hand and rested his right hand on the car window against his head, maintaining a relaxed and casual posture. He was also stunned when he saw the red shadow in the rear view mirror. With his dynamic vision after his talent evolution, he also felt that the red shadow was incredibly fast. There was only one reason: the speed of the car behind was really very fast. Then a scene that made Fujiwara Takumi drop his jaw appeared. When the red shadow passed the steep slope and sharp turn, it actually maintained a high speed and overtook his car on the outside lane. When it came to the straight road, the red car was parallel to him, and the car window opened, revealing a handsome face. Oh, not bad, pretty cool. The handsome and mysterious young man opened his mouth with a hint of charm. Fujiwara Takumi felt a little strange after hearing this, and inexplicably felt a sense of dissatisfaction in his heart, as if the other party had stolen his lines. When the mysterious young man stepped on the accelerator, and the powerful roar of the engine took the red racing car away rapidly, Fujiwara Takumi looked at the rear of the other party's car getting farther and farther away, and his dissatisfaction became stronger. Tonight should have been his time to pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger, but he didn't expect that a real tiger suddenly appeared, so he didn't succeed in pretending to be a pig and eat the tiger. If pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger fails, it will be a tragedy. Thinking of this, Fujiwara Takumi stepped on the accelerator and muttered incoherently, "What are you pretending to be? There are 5 consecutive hairpins soon. I don't believe you dare to drift at such a speed, or you will fall to death." Awesome. Brother Z in GTR 32 exclaimed as he looked at the red racing car that was obviously slowing down intentionally. Oh, not bad. You are worthy of being an old driver. The owner of the red racing car looked at the young Brother Z and laughed meaningfully. P.S. Thank you for the reward from the descendants of Cain. Chapter 120, The God of Cars in Akina Mountain. Fujiwara Tofu Shop. I'm back. Drunk Fujiwara Bunta, lying on the floor, glanced at Fujiwara Takumi who came in, and said nonchalantly, "Did you win?" No. Fujiwara Takumi whispered, handed the key to Fujiwara Bunta, and walked upstairs with his head down. No? Fujiwara Bunta was startled, sat up suddenly, and said sternly, "You actually lost. Why?" The sense of honor of the Japanese is very strong. Once they fail, they will commit suicide in a minute. In Fujiwara Bunta's view, Fujiwara Takumi will beat GTR 32 in Akina Mountain tonight, and become famous in one fell swoop. It is a foregone conclusion, but the result is not what happened. It seems that this naughty kid still deserves a beating. A red racing car suddenly appeared behind us. It was so fast that it surpassed the GTR 32 and my AE86. Fujiwara Takumi said in frustration. His drifting skills are simply amazing. Even the 5 consecutive hairpin turns did not slow him down much. We are not opponents of the same level at all. Red racing car? Fujiwara Fumita narrowed his eyes. Not opponents of the same level? When did the island country allow such a powerful person to exist? Fujiwara Takumi hesitated and said, I heard that he came to participate in the Akina Mountain God of Cars competition. This time he came here to test drive. I see. Fujiwara Fumita nodded slightly and looked at Takumi, who was a little listless. Don't be discouraged. There is absolutely no problem with your driving skills. You were defeated by the opponent because of the AE86. It is too old and needs to be refitted. Come with me. As he said that, Fujiwara Fumita got up and went out, taking Takumi with him, driving the AE86 to a friend's gas station, where he would refit and upgrade the AE86. He believed that the new AE86 would allow him to smoothly pass on the title of Akina Mountain God of Cars to his son Takumi. A week later, Akina Mountain. Late at night. Compared to the usual tonight's Akina Mountain is a real grand gathering of racing enthusiasts. Buzz. 5 racing cars, 2 by 2, parked at the starting point 1 by 1, and their owners stood in front of their cars, looking at each other. The 2 cars in the front are DK and Fujiwara Takumi. The 2 cars in the second row are Zaijin Kato Ryuji, and Owen's lightning car is in the last row. Everyone, according to the request of Lord Watanabe, the winner takes all. The final winner will get the cars of the other drivers and will be awarded the title of Akina Mountain God of Cars. Do you understand? A man in a suit and leather shoes said seriously. I have a request. Owen said loudly. Please speak. The loser must say to the winner in person, I surrender. You are the god of driving in Akina Mountain. Okay. The man who hosted the game on behalf of Watanabe hesitated for a moment, nodded and said, everyone, no objection, right? No. X 4 inches. Although it was a bit shameful to admit defeat in person, it was a loss after all, and the others had no objection. Kato Ryuji looked at Owen in surprise, wondering why Owen didn't mention the previous request again. But it didn't matter. This time, he wanted Owen to try the feeling of overturning the car again. In Akina Mountain, once the car overturned, the chance of survival was not great. Da. There was a sound of helicopter blades, and everyone looked up and saw a helicopter hovering above their heads. The onboard camera was already aimed at them. It was obviously arranged by the old ghost Watanabe. Okay, since everyone has no objection, then get ready to start. Don't keep Lord Watanabe waiting for too long. Everyone got into the car one by one, started the engine, roared, ready to go. The moment the magic weapon of the beauty landed, all 5 cars moved. This time, Owen did not take the lead, because he was the last one and the cars in front of him did not disperse. He had no way to overtake. Zaijin the GTR 32 glanced at Kato Ryuji behind him, surprised at the strength of the last Akina Mountain God of Cars. Although he was very confident in his driving skills, it was just a hobby after all. Photography was his main job, and his driving skills would never be better than the last Akina Mountain God of Cars. Although he couldn't figure it out, it didn't stop him from speeding up and pulling away from each other. Fujiwara Takumi drove the modified and upgraded AE86 and easily took the first place. No matter how hard DK behind him gritted his teeth and chased him, he couldn't keep up. Instead, after a few corners, the distance was even greater. Arsehole. When Zaija's GTR 32, Kato Ryuji's yellow car and Owen's red lightning surpassed him one after another, DK, the king of drifting and rigging, flushed and shouted angrily in the car. He didn't know that compared with the old drivers like Zaij, Kato, and Owen, he, the king of drift and rigging, was too immature. Haha. Owen looked at Kato Ryuji, who was always slowing down. After a little thought, he understood what the other party was up to. He sneered and accelerated directly at a bend. Here I come. You're dead. Kato Ryuji's sunglasses flashed, and he stepped on the accelerator, trying to hit the rear of Owen's car. Impossible. But before he could get close, the red lightning sped up again, turned into a red shadow, and quickly went away. No matter how hard Kato Ryuji stepped on the accelerator, the distance between him and the red lightning was getting bigger and bigger, and there was no way he could hit Owen. There was only one possibility in this situation. That is, Owen's driving skills were far better than his, and even the performance of the modified racing car hardware completely crushed his car. Owen looked at the yellow car that was chasing him, but seemed so powerless in the rearview mirror, and the corners of his mouth curled up. It's time to end this boring car god race. As he said, he sped up again, surpassed Zaijin Fujiwara Takumi in succession, and drove all the way. Without suspense, he drove across the finish line first, and won the game. The title of Akina Mountain Car God has various meanings. Compared with racing on the track, Owen prefers another kind of car god racing. I surrender. You are the car god of Akina Mountain. X4. At the finish line, under the gaze of Agent Watanabe, Kato Ryuji had to bow his head and admit defeat like the other 3 people, even if he was unwilling. Very good. Owen checked the system. When the 4 people admitted defeat, their existence points increased by 120 points immediately, and all the accumulated positive poles were collided. The system reminded Owen that he could return to the positive pole universe at any time. Riching. Who are you? What do you want to do? Kato Ryuji had just returned to his residence and was still wondering why Owen did not make that shameful request. He was grabbed by people on the left and right, covered his head, and taken away. In a familiar apartment, Jinguji Sora and Owen modified and debugged the racing car together. After receiving a phone call, she smiled at Owen and said, "It's done. I don't know why you made such a disgusting request." Owen wiped the bright and huge headlights and laughed with a bad taste. "You have been with him for so long, and you didn't even notice his hobby in this area?" "Of course not," Jinguji Sora said speechlessly. "It's not those evil anime plots. Who in real life likes that?" Owen smiled and continued to debug the racing car. Jinguji Sora saw that she couldn't get any information from him, so she simply stopped asking. She was also a car lover, so she debugged it with Owen. The engine roared all night. The next day, the TV station's hot Beijing morning news. In the early morning of this morning, a man was found drowned in a cesspool in a public toilet. The police initially investigated and speculated that the other party might be a very rare lover of eating and fesses. Because he was too concerned, he accidentally fell into the cesspool and drowned. The police reminded the general public to choose their hobbies carefully and always pay attention to safety. Chapter 121 Happy Breakup. Positive Universe. New York. 157 Penthouse. Boom. As Owen's figure returned, the frozen time began to flow again, and the echo of the Watford crystal clock in Times Square reverberated. Owen shook his head slightly, picked up the chilled champagne from the coffee table, poured it into a goblet, and drank a glass. Recalling the experience in the God of Cars universe, his mind was full of bright and huge headlights. System, show the attribute panel. Yes, master. The American TV system responded, and the refreshed attribute panel appeared in Owen's consciousness. Existence points. 14 plus 120. 1 equals 133 points. All positive and negative poles are consumed. Driver cards. 8. Summer, Jioye, Jamie Ines, Bianca Samson, Queen Amidala, Robin, Kitagora Kiko, Jinguji Sora. Honor titles. Kryptonian Scholar Dolphin Lover Eternal Kidney King Public Enemy of Boys Legendary Tuner Supreme Conductor Super Male Beast Mathematics Professor Single-Minded True Man Akina Mountain Car God Intelligence, LV5 plus Strength, LV2 plus Speed, LV2 plus Endurance, LV3 Energy Release, LV1 Combat Skills. LV4 Skill List, Skill 1, Eternal Overshoot Gun Skill 2, Scholar Mode Skill 3, Mysterious Chinese Medicine. Do you want to go find Barney to play? After Owen reviewed the results of this time travel, he looked up and saw fireworks blooming all over the sky. He hesitated for a moment, then shook his head secretly and muttered to himself, "Forget it, I finally have some free time. I should give myself a vacation. I'm busy all year long and rarely rest." It's also very hard. A few streets away from New York's Times Square, a long courtesy car was stuck here because of traffic. Barney and others saw that they didn't have time to get to Times Square, so they simply got off the car and came to the open space to look at the huge Watford crystal clock from afar. When the New Year's bell rang for the first time, Matthew and Lily kissed passionately as always, and Barney also kissed a beautiful woman whose name he didn't know. Ted and Robin looked at each other awkwardly. Robin looked lonely. She thought Owen would invite her, but she didn't expect that. Not only did she not wait for the invitation, but she also learned from Barney's phone call that Owen was giving love to a pair of Russian twin sisters. Even as strong as she was, she felt infinitely sad for a while, and she had deep doubts about her previous pursuit of only talking about feelings and not emotions. Especially facing Ted's affectionate gaze, in this situation, this suspicion was infinitely magnified. "Do you remember our agreement?" Robin blurted out. "Of course I remember." Ted's eyes sparkled. He gave up the female companion that Barney found for him. "Wasn't it for this moment? Then what are you waiting for?" Robin hinted. "What about Owen?" Ted asked subconsciously, and after asking, he wanted to slap himself in the face. "Let him die." Robin smiled carefreely. "There is nothing between us, just friends with benefits. I thought too much before, and I won't do it again in the future. It's really stupid to have a relationship with that bastard, and it's just a New Year's kiss." Before he finished speaking, he was blocked by Ted's mouth. The first weekend after the New Year, because of Barry's wedding, Owen flew over from Pasadena again. McLaren Bar. "Hi, hello everyone." Owen walked over with a smile. "Hi, Owen. X 4 inches well, isn't this a traitor?" Barney dragged his voice and said, "For a pair of Russian twin sisters, you actually betrayed everyone. I don't have a brother like you. Come on." Owen interrupted. "Barney, if it were you, you would make the same choice, or even do something more excessive. Don't you think so?" "Yes. This is very Barney." Matthew and Lily echoed the condemnation. Barney tilted his head, thought about it, shrugged and said, "That's true." Then he put on a smile, gave Owen a warm hug, and laughed. "Buddy, welcome back." Ted looked at Robin with some expectation. Robin's eyes flickered, took a sip of beer, stood up and said to Owen, "Owen, I have something to tell you." "Okay." Owen was stunned, but after scanning the expressions of Ted, Lily and others, he had guessed a little. Outside the bar. "Owen, we can't go on like this." Robin said carefully, "Let's just be friends." "Okay." Owen agreed immediately, leaving Robin standing there. Her face suddenly looked ugly. She hadn't finished her words yet. What did Owen mean by agreeing so quickly? "I'm so unattractive?" In the bar. They've been talking for too long, haven't they? Ted looked outside the bar and checked his watch repeatedly. "Should we go out and take a look?" I know." Barney showed a standard Barney smile, a soul-stirring breakup. "Nice." Ted's face froze, his eyes full of bitterness. Lily looked at Ted with pity. "Ted, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Ted forced a smile and said, "This is normal, isn't it? I still have some drawings to finish, so I'm going back first." "Brother, I'll go with you." Matthew stood up, hugged Ted and left. "Why aren't you leaving?" Lily glared at Barney. "I'm still waiting for Rowan to come back and give me a celebratory applause." Barney raised his hand and smiled. "You're going too far." Lily accused. "You clearly know how Ted feels about Robin, but you insist on making things worse. Why do you want to provoke Ted?" "Ted is one of my best friends," Barney said with a serious face. "I'm teaching him to live with the attitude of me and Owen. He is different from Matthew and is the same kind of person as us. Now stimulated by your and Matthew's remarriage, he wants to learn Matthew's deep affection and find his other half, but he is doomed to fail. I'm helping him to face the reality." Lily was speechless. As a good friend of Ted for 8 years, Lily knows Ted very well. On the outside, Ted looks more like a loyal and affectionate person than Matthew, but Ted, who has French and Italian romance in his heart, is affectionate and leaves quickly, and has hurt more good girls than Barney. Because Barney has always been a blatant deceiver and let go after one night, while Ted insisted on talking to the other party when he was in deep affection, and suddenly broke up. Lily sometimes couldn't stand it. If it was someone else, she would never pay attention to such a scumbag, but there was nothing she could do. After all, Ted was her and Matthew's best friend. He was enthusiastic and loyal to his friends. He would always give enough support and encouragement at critical moments. In terms of getting along with friends, Ted was absolutely very competent. An hour later. It looks like they won't be back. Lily looked at the time and stood up. Damn. Barney was very upset that he didn't clap with Owen. Robin's apartment. Happy breakup. I wish you happiness. You can find someone better. Break up again. P.S. Thank you Leoia for the reward. Chapter 122. Legends everywhere. Robin's apartment. Happy breakup. I wish you happiness. You can find someone better. Break up again. Robin, are you sure? Breakup really requires courage to face rumors, bombs, and gossips, cannons. As long as you give me a look of affirmation, my breakup again will be meaningful in the singing of the goddess of courage Fishliang. Robin and Owen broke up again and again. In fact, according to Owen's idea, he and Robin, anyone, have never started, so there is no need to break up. But seeing that Robin is so obsessed with the form and afraid of being beaten, he didn't say it out. And he and Barney Hero have the same view, that the classic Italian breakup still has a different taste in his heart. Robin has obviously made up his mind not to have in-depth exchanges with Owen after today, but in the actual operation, he is reluctant to let go again and again, so he is like a completely different person. Because of Ted, Owen was happy to sit back and watch the outcome, and even had the time to chat. By the way, how far have you to come? Has he confessed to you again? TSK, Ted and you are a perfect match. Robin felt as if he was being trampled by 10,000 mythical beasts. He reached out and took out a gun from the bedside table, pointed it at Owen's head, and shouted, "Shut up." Holy shit. Owen was shocked to be pointed at his head with a real gun for the first time. Then he remembered that the man in front of him was a gun lover, and his favorite relaxation activity was to go to the shooting range to shoot a few shots. Owen snatched the gun from Robin's hand like lightning, quickly unloaded the gun, and saw that there was actually a bullet in it. He pushed Robin away and got up and dressed. "Come on." Robin pulled Owen reluctantly and shouted nonchalantly, "This is just a joke. Who told you not to concentrate and talk nonsense instead? This joke is not funny." Owen pushed Robin's hand away and said coldly, "What if it goes off accidentally? Really?" Robin saw that Owen was serious and said in surprise, "Are you so timid?" "Not timid." Owen said lightly, "Be cautious. Cherish your precious life. And have you ever seen such a timid person?" "Just kidding. He is a time traveler with a system. If he falls inexplicably in such an occasion, it would be really embarrassing. You know, the bullet is loaded, and Robin is also in an extremely excited state. Who knows if she will get excited and unconsciously open the safety and pull the trigger." Robin looked down, swallowed unconsciously, shook his head subconsciously and said, "You are not a coward. A coward would never behave like you." "Owen, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pointed the gun at you." Owen glanced at Robin, seeing that he was full of apology, thinking that the other party was indeed unintentional. The anger gathered in his heart dissipated by half. This matter really can't be completely blamed on Robin, who made him talk nonsense there for no reason. Forget it. Owen accepted the apology, but the atmosphere was completely ruined at this point. The two of them perfunctorily said a few more words, and Owen said goodbye and left. The next evening. McLaren Bar. "So, you and Owen?" Lily asked in a low voice with a devilish look in her eyes, while waiting for Ted and Matthew to get beer. "It's over." Robin let out a long breath and told him about the accident last night. PFFT. Lily almost peed herself with laughter. You pointed a gun at Owen? I know this is wrong." Robin shrugged and said, "But when I was listening to him talking nonsense, the stupid scene of him and the Russian twin sisters showing their love on New Year flashed through my mind. I couldn't help but get angry, and I took out the pistol without thinking and pointed it at his head." "What pistol?" Ted had been secretly paying attention to the movement here. When he heard the pistol, his face rose. While handing the beer to Robin, he pretended to ask casually. After Lily explained, Ted resumed his smile. It turned out that he was wrong. "Hey, why isn't Barney here today?" Robin took the beer and took a sip. He felt that the atmosphere tonight was not right. He glanced around and found that Barney was missing, so he asked curiously, "Him?" Lily was the most gossipy and knew everything. She smiled and said, I heard that Owen is helping a friend prepare for a wedding. What do you think he will do? He's rushing to be the best man. Robin told the truth, but shook his head in confusion. But does he know the groom? Does he need to know him? Matthew complained. He's Barney Stinson. The groom's bachelor party can't be without him. Just wait and see. That's right. Everyone sighed in unison. Hi, Barry, what's up? Owen answered the phone and asked with a smile. Barry's thick tongue came from the other end of the phone, and he was obviously drunk. Owen, I just met a good brother tonight, a very good one. I want to discuss with you whether I can give up the position of chief best man to him. A good brother I just met, let him be the chief best man? Owen's mouth twitched. He had smelled a familiar smell and said speechlessly, let me guess, is this good brother called Barney Stinson? Bingo. Barney's laughter came from the other end of the phone. How can the chief best man be without me, Barney Stinson? Barry, don't worry, I will definitely help you make the bachelor party a legendary, wait for it, Dari legendary night, which will definitely be more exciting than tonight. You know what I mean. His Barry's voice came with a breath of cold air. Where are you? Owen grinned. We are donating money to poor girls who can't afford community college. Do you want to come? Barney's serious voice sounded. Strip club, right? Owen said clearly. How did you find Barry? Who am I? Barney smiled proudly. I waited for a long time downstairs of your building and then followed you all the way, and then I found out that you were actually helping someone plan a wedding and you didn't invite me. Shame. Too shameful. You are so boring. Owen complained speechlessly. Whatever you say, buddy. Barney smiled and said, I'm already Barry's best buddy. This bachelor party will be hosted by me, Barney Stinson. This will definitely be legendary. Wait for it. Date. Legendary. Legendary night. Yeah. Legendary. Barry shouted out of control. Okay. Owen said nonchalantly. It's up to you. As long as you can convince Barry when he's sober, I don't care. The reason why he was so enthusiastic about helping to prepare the wedding was just to get an account with Rachel. When Rachel ran away from the wedding and found out that Barry had cheated on Mindy, she would think of him first and use him as a tool to take revenge on Barry. It was pitiful to say that he just wanted to be a tool. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, The Runaway Bride. New York. Four Seasons Hotel. Half an hour before the wedding. Bridal dressing room. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? In the full-length mirror, a sweet and charming bride in a white wedding dress and a white scarf sat in a daze, surrounded by various celebratory gifts. The bride glanced at a sauce bottle and her eyes were fixed. It was an extremely beautiful Limoges fine porcelain sauce bottle, flawless white, with beautiful curves, a work of art. 3 minutes later. Oh my god. The bride's eyes were still fixed on the sauce bottle, but her mind was already scattered. A terrible thought kept hitting her. This sauce bottle actually makes me more excited than Barry. Thinking of this, the bride shuddered and stood up suddenly. A huge photo of the new Liwats came into view. Looking at the groom's smile in the photo, an indescribable sense of familiarity from the past came over her again. In a flash of inspiration, the bride blurted out, Mr. Fries. The groom and Mr. Fries in the French fries commercial were very similar, and this was not a compliment. Rachel, what's wrong? Chief bridesmaid Mindy had just returned. She was outside the door, straightening her slightly messy bridesmaid outfit again and again. When she heard the noise inside, she pushed the door open and walked in. No, I can't marry Barry. The bride Rachel Green shouted. Why? Mindy was delighted, but pretended to be panicked and said, Rachel, today is your wedding. You must not do anything stupid. She said so, but she was screaming madly in her heart. Do it quickly. You must do something stupid. No reason. Rachel shook her head and shouted, I just can't marry Barry. Then she ran out with her wedding dress. Rachel, you can't do this. Mindy seemed to want to hold Rachel back, but she seemed to be hit by a slow aura, and her movements were so slow that people were speechless. The key was that she couldn't hold back the smile on her mouth. If Rachel looked back, I'm afraid the scene would be embarrassing. Outside the hotel. Rachel, what are you doing? Owen, dressed in a black best man suit, suddenly blocked Rachel like a ghost, with a face full of shock. Owen. Rachel was so frightened when she saw Owen that she fell backwards. Owen was agile and hugged her around the waist, one hand around Rachel and the other hand on his waist. His posture was just like Yin Xian Chow lifting Liupo's chin to teach acting. Are you okay at this moment? Owen was possessed by Yin Xian Chow, looking at Rachel with deep and affectionate eyes. No, it's okay. Rachel subconsciously hooked her hands around Owen's neck. Seeing Owen's expression, her heartbeat stagnated, and then she pushed Owen away and said without thinking, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Owen's mouth twitched, and he reminded her, Rachel, you'll get married in 20 minutes. Oh, right. No, I can't do it. Please say sorry to Barry for me. I need to think about it carefully. Rachel explained in a messy way, and then she simply ran out holding the hem of her wedding dress. The groom's dressing room. What? Rachel ran away. Barry stood up suddenly and shouted in shock. Did she find out? If you are talking about the secret meeting between you and Mindy next door just now, then that shouldn't have happened. Owen smiled. Most likely her premarital phobia broke out. That's good. Barry breathed a sigh of relief, then his eyes widened and said, no, the wedding is about to start. She ran away. What should I do? That's not easy. Owen joked. The bride ran away. The bridesmaid took over. Anyway, it's the same for you, isn't it? Ahem. Barry coughed lightly and smiled awkwardly. How can it be the same? Rachel's parents and relatives are outside. If I do this, they will beat me to death. Mindy calmed down and ran in through the door with a panicked look on her face. Barry, Rachel ran away. She said she can't marry you. I know. Barry thought of the embarrassing scene that was about to happen. The guilt he had for cheating on Mindy behind Rachel's back disappeared. He gritted his teeth and said, Rachel is really too much. I'm so embarrassed this time. This is the positive universe. In the negative universe, as the male supporting role who was slapped in the face by the runaway marriage, Barry turned evil in a minute, performing the role of pretending to counterattack like 30 years in the East 30 years in the West. Don't bully the poor young man, right? What should I do now? Mindy looked at Barry eagerly, screaming in her heart, let me take the top, let me take the top, let me take the top, let's tell everyone first. Barry made a bitter face and avoided Mindy's expectant eyes. It was easy to say and difficult to do such a thing as letting the bridesmaid take the top. Then he was afraid that Mindy's little universe would explode and do something that caught him off guard. So he comforted her, since Rachel has given up, let's fly directly to Aruba for our honeymoon tonight. Let's go alone. Really? Mindy almost cheered. Of course. Barry said affirmatively. Go ahead. Owen was standing by, smiling meaningfully. I'm here. I'll help you keep an eye on it. Thank you so much, buddy. Barry was touched and said, can I ask you for another favor? Owen was surprised and said, you tell me. There are still a few minutes. Barry smiled awkwardly. Rachel has been so sorry for me. I want to go to the bridal dressing room and have a little revenge with Mindy to calm my mood. Otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to control my emotions when I go out later, which will be bad for everyone, right? So can you help us keep an eye on it? Owen's mouth twitched and he weakly complained. Barry, what brand of facial cream are you using? When Barry calmed down, he walked into the wedding scene with a heavy face and told everyone about Rachel's escape from marriage, and everyone was in an uproar. Rachel's father was very angry. He paid for this wedding, and now it's all gone down the drain. Even if it's a dentist, $100,000, the timeline is reset, and it's connected to the Big Bang Theory, and the relevant data is automatically adjusted, is not a small amount. Barry's parents were even more angry because their son was thrown at the altar and he would inevitably be pointed at, laughed at and teased in the future. Rachel's other bridesmaids looked at each other with strange expressions, their eyes full of excitement. They grew up in the same environment as Rachel, and they were all princesses from childhood to adulthood. They wanted to scream loudly, to vent their admiration for Rachel for being able to witness this exciting scene. The wedding ended like this. After Rachel's relatives and friends dispersed, Berry took Mindy directly to the airport and flew directly to Aruba for their honeymoon. Owen returned to Pasadena. He was indeed interested in Rachel, but he knew that too much is as bad as too little. Some things are like wine. After years of precipitation, they will become more mellow and sweet. P.S. Thank you Qi Yuling Donghan for the reward. Chapter 124 California Science Fair, Los Angeles. California Science Center, as the top comprehensive science popularization venue in the United States, it has many exhibition halls, such as the Hall of Science, the World of Life, the World of Creativity, the Accumulation of Experience, the Dome Cinema Hall, etc. Today, the World of Life exhibition hall ushered in a heavyweight exhibition. The human statues were displayed in the display cabinets, which amazed the tourists who came here. Of course, there were also some who felt very uncomfortable because of the terrifying appearance of the human statues and left directly. A girl looked at the human body plastination statue without skin and exposed internal organs, retched for a while, slapped her boyfriend, and complained, "This is the art you asked me to see. It's disgusting." "It's okay. The boyfriend is a doctor," and said very calmly, "Look, everyone else is normal, and many people are very interested." The girl didn't dare to look at the human body plastination statue. She followed her boyfriend's gaze and saw two wretched men staring at a human body plastination statue. The short and thin man in tight clothes had a shining look in his eyes and almost drooled. The girl shuddered and unconsciously glanced at the plastination statue that the other party was paying attention to. She found that it was a woman. From the part that the wretched man was staring at, it was obvious that he was not appreciating it with an artistic eye. How disgusting. You might as well go and see a wax figure. What's so good about this kind of statue with the skin peeled off? It's different. The straight male boyfriend retorted, "How can a wax figure be compared with a plastination statue? Wax figures are completely fake, while plastination statues are made of real human bodies. It is a new breakthrough in medicine." "What?" Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by his girlfriend's horrified cry. "You said this is the remains of a real person." "Yes," the boyfriend explained. "This is the power of plastination statues. It extracts water from the organs and tissues of the human body or other organisms and refills them with a liquid silicone resin mixture so that the human tissues or other organisms can be preserved permanently. Through the processing of biological plastination technology, human tissues or other organisms can be preserved like living bodies. Not only are they completely free of the decay and odor of being soaked in formalin, but they also retain most of the characteristics of the original samples and can even display the original appearance of human cells under a microscope." The girl couldn't listen any longer and looked around at the plastinated statues of the human body in various poses. Even though it was daytime and there were other people around, she still felt cold all over, covered her mouth, and ran out. When passing by the two wretched men, she heard the short and thin wretched man mutter, "These skinless chicks are so hot." Another wretched Indian man nodded with empathy, "Yeah, it's worth it this time." "Ah." The girl couldn't bear it any longer and ran wildly with screaming. "Ha, you scared me." The short and thin wretched man was stunned, turned around and looked at the girls who ran out, and curled his lips and said, "I thought it was a human statue that came back to life." Haha. The Indian man laughed. "Howard, that will become a horror wax museum. Will you still think they are hot then?" "Of course." Howard shrugged and said, "As long as they are willing to be close to me, I still think they are hot. You are so disgusting." The Indian man was a little overwhelmed. "Rajesh, I just have a slight necrophilia," Howard retorted, "just like you have abnormal interactions with dogs every day. How dare you say that?" Rajesh glared at Howard and shouted dissatisfiedly, "Zyogezi and I have an innocent relationship between owner and pet. Yes, maybe we take a bath together, sleep together, and even share food together, but it is definitely not what you imagine." Okay. Seeing that everyone was looking over, Howard quickly raised his hands in surrender and comforted, "I just said it casually, don't get excited." "Hey, where did Irving go?" "He left while you were drooling at the skinless hot chick." Rajesh was not as focused as Howard, so he naturally noticed Irving's previous movements and still said a little angrily, "He must be afraid that others will know that he is with you." This is a science art exhibition. Howard shrugged indifferently. I'm just appreciating science art. A few cabinets away from them, Irving saw what was happening over there with Howard and grinned. He regretted very much that he chose to hang out with Howard and Rajesh in order to improve their friendship. This pair of good friends really had no bottom line. Standing with them really required a very strong psychological endurance, otherwise the strange looks from others could make people collapse. It seems your friends are hungry and thirsty. At this moment, a pleasant female voice sounded next to him. They are not my friends. Owen subconsciously denied it and looked sideways. His eyes lit up and he saw a beautiful girl with long wine red hair that was slightly curled at the bottom, tall and well proportioned, and a sweet smile. She was standing there with a women's bag slung over her shoulder. Okay. Hearing this, the red-haired beauty shrugged and turned her head away. Well, they are indeed my friends. Owen had already recognized who the other party was, so he naturally would not end the conversation. He spread his hands helplessly, and they are indeed very hungry and thirsty, so hungry and thirsty that I don't even want to admit that they are my friends. The red-haired beauty laughed, turned her head, glanced at Owen, and said with a smile, just now I noticed that you didn't seem to think much of the plastination of the human body? Not really. Owen shook his head and said, this technology does have great contributions to medicine, biology, etc., but it doesn't make much sense to use it for a touring exhibition. Huh? What do you mean? The red-haired beauty said in surprise. It's very simple. Owen explained. Ordinary people just want to watch the fun. If you really want to popularize science, other silicone statues will be enough. Now the bodies of the donors are placed in various postures and placed here for people to watch. Apart from a publicity gimmick, it has no other meaning. Only the reality is not a magical world. The organizers dare to bully the donors' bodies because they can't move and cause trouble for them. Otherwise the organizers will never do this. Ha ha ha. The red-haired beauty laughed. I'm looking forward to seeing that scene. Owen raised the corners of his mouth, stretched out his hand and smiled. Owen Lee, professor of mathematics at Caltech. Nice to meet you. The red-haired beauty stretched out her hand and smiled. Emily Sweeney, resident doctor at Huntington Memorial Hospital. Nice to meet you. P.S. Thanks to Anheo and Shelsu Junior for the reward. Chapter 125 Awkward but Polite Smile. Los Angeles, California Science Center. Howard, look. Rajesh pointed at Irving and reminded him. Irving picked up a chick. Oh my god, why is Irving so good? Howard wailed. We can only see skinless chicks, but he can pick up such a hot babe here. Ding dong. The phone message reminder sounded. Howard opened it and patted his head. Oh, I almost forgot. Tonight is Leonard and Penny's first date. So. Rajesh stared at Irving and said casually. So, we should go back immediately and install surveillance equipment. Howard put away his phone and said, aren't you interested in Leonard and Penny's relationship? Maybe we can capture some very interesting scenes. Rajesh instantly understood what his good friend meant, and with a lewd smile on his face, he urged, then go back quickly. Penny is much hotter than these skinless girls. Need I tell you that? Howard complained. Let's go find Irving and get to know a hot girl he just met. Maybe she has any friends? That's right. Rajesh exclaimed. Hi, Irving. Howard walked to Irving and greeted him with a smile, and Rajesh became a silent background. Hi, Howard. Owen had to interrupt his chat with the red-haired beauty. Emily looked at Rajesh meaningfully and introduced the two parties. Howard, Rajesh, this is my new friend Emily. Emily, these are my two very hungry and thirsty friends. Howard, Rajesh. Hi. Emily greeted them generously. Hi, Emily. Howard winked and smiled. You are very interested in human specimens. So am I. Yes. Emily smiled and said, I'm very interested in all kinds of human specimens. Can we have a chance to communicate? Howard was stunned. It was his character to harass women a few times when he saw them. It didn't mean that he really wanted to pursue Emily. What's more, there was Owen there, and he still had some ideas in his mind. At this moment, he suddenly saw Emily's response, and he was really stunned and a little at a loss. Really? Of course. Emily glanced at Owen and saw the smile on his lips and her smile became more and more brilliant. I didn't learn anatomy very well, and I've always wanted to find someone to practice with. If you are interested, you are welcome to come to me anytime. I saw that you were very jealous of these skinless human plastination statues. If you like to see skinning, I'm very experienced. Howard and Rajesh were stunned. After a long time, they asked blankly, what? Owen explained with a smile. Emily is a dermatologist and knows a lot about skin. Howard, if you want to have a good communication with Emily, don't worry about me. I have no objection. Haha. Howard shuddered, and when he looked at Emily, his eyes immediately changed. He smiled and said, I'm kidding. TBBT apartment. Are you sure you want to install this? Owen sat on the sofa, watching Howard and the other man install a rotatable camera on the door of room 4A, and said speechlessly, what are you busy for? Just to look down at Penny's broad mind? Yeah. Howard and Rajesh looked over at the same time, and shouted in unison, okay. Seeing the two people's eyes shining, Owen inexplicably remembered his state in his previous life when his eyes and mind were full of broad minds. He immediately understood the two people's feelings of going to so much trouble just to see a broad mind, and shrugged. Here it comes, here it comes. Howard looked at the light spot on the computer and reminded him quickly. Owen grinned, knowing that the two people locked onto the GPS signal of Leonard's mobile phone to warn. Snap. Rajesh closed the door, and Howard also controlled the camera to point to the corridor. In the surveillance screen, Leonard and Penny walked up. Leonard talked non-stop, but Penny was holding ice cream and smiling awkwardly. When they got to the door, they kissed goodbye as usual. Wow, this close-up is great. Rajesh praised Howard's cool operation. Owen sat in the back, watching the broad mind getting bigger and bigger in the surveillance video, and thought to himself, Penny is nothing special, but she is still very broad-minded. He found out and came in. Hurry up and switch to the screensaver. Rajesh reminded. But Leonard heard the sound of the camera turning and discovered the two people's obscene surveillance. Hey, Leonard, how was the date? Howard greeted Leonard, who walked in angrily. What do you care about me? Leonard said, and said to Owen and Sheldon, Sheldon, Owen, why didn't you stop it? They saw that I had no interest in these things. Sheldon was busy with a new paper on the work table and replied without raising his head. Owen smiled and said, they gave a reason that cannot be stopped. What reason? When future generations want to know why you and Penny are not together, this is the black box. Howard continued, Owen is an expert. You ask him to analyze whether it is possible for you and Penny based on the video. Owen? Leonard was concerned now and no longer entangled in Howard's peeping behavior. It's a bit uncertain. Owen analyzed objectively. At least you can't take Penny now. Why? Leonard shouted. Because you don't know how to fall in love, and you don't have enough time to make Penny surrender. Owen smiled. So in the near future, your relationship with Penny will be stagnant. Really? Leonard seemed to believe it. I think tonight is perfect. Illusion. Owen said bluntly, just like every man thinks that girls who smile at him are interested in him, but he doesn't know that these smiles come in many kinds. Penny's smile just now was obviously an awkward but polite smile. I agree. Howard raised his hand and said with empathy, Leonard, you'd better listen to Owen. He was able to pick up a very hot female doctor at the plastination statue exhibition. It's right to listen to him. Yeah. Rajesh echoed. That female doctor is indeed very hot, but her smile is a little scary, which makes my heart beat fast. I'll make an appointment with Penny tomorrow. Leonard said with a pout. Although Owen is very good, he still doesn't believe it. He thinks the atmosphere is great tonight. Penny is always smiling, and she is very happy. How can it be an awkward but polite smile? He is an experimental physicist and only believes in the facts he sees. He will never blindly believe Owen. P.S. Group number 710,235,464. Answer the protagonist name, Owen. If you are interested, you can add it. P.S. Thank you for the reward from guest 01. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.